Our boy wakes up in some bizarre purple void, completely lost and questioning his reality. In his hands, a sacred stone pulses with a sinister energy he has never seen before. Black feathers begin to drift down from above as he reaches into the strange light. His eyes suddenly glow a vibrant purple, reflecting the wings of an approaching being. A woman with massive black wings then descends from the sky, floating right above him. This kid just stares, completely dumbfounded by this sudden winged visitor. Turns out this whole otherworld is dominated by two forces, starting with these gnarly-looking demons, and their eternal rivals, the divine spirits, a whole army of angelic warriors. For ages, these two sides were locked in a brutal, world-shattering war, which finally ended with a decisive victory for the demons. Bad news for the angels. About a decade ago, the winners set their sights on a new prize, the human world. Humanity was completely powerless against the invasion, getting absolutely steamrolled by the demon army. But just when all hope seemed lost, something new emerged from the gates to help. This surviving divine spirits appeared, offering power to humans with the will to fight back, granting them the strength of spirits through these glowing blue crystals. Empowered by this new gift, humanity finally had a fighting chance against the demon hordes, becoming known as hunters, the last line of defense for the entire world, which brings us to the present day. About 10 kilometers outside of Tokyo, a team of 3 hunters stands before a swirling purple gate ready for their next mission, and it is an E-rank dungeon which Hino, Kamiya, and Mito seem totally chill about. Hino's team does a final check on their supplies for the dungeon crawl, which are all conveniently loaded onto their personal pack mule for the mission. An F-rank hunter named Makoto Asuka, who seems totally fine with the arrangement. This others head in, telling their wannabe hunter to just carry the bags and stay out of the fight. And honestly, Makoto's heard it all before, so the insult barely even registers. See, for hunters, power comes from a sacred stone that appears in their hand, which then lets them form a pact with a divine spirit to get their abilities. Flashing back 2 years ago, we see how our boy got his start. A younger Makoto is absolutely stoked to find a sacred stone in his own hand, and clutching it, he swears he will never let another tragedy happen again, vowing to become strong enough to protect everyone. Turns out his parents were killed by demons during a gate break right in front of him. That little blue crystal was the only thing that gave him a reason to keep going, so he immediately throws himself into a hardcore training routine every single day, pushing himself to the absolute limit with thousands of sword swings, and he actually pulls off 1,000 of them in under an hour, which is insane. Without even a break, he decides a 20 km run is next on the agenda, but a couple of other guys training nearby seem to recognize him. They start mocking him from a distance, calling him a fake hunter for all to hear, because for 2 years, no spirit has answered his call, leaving him with just a rock and a reputation. Back in the day, he tried to join a party and got absolutely rocked for his trouble. This team's leader basically calls him dead weight they have to babysit during a fight. Even with a busted lip, Makoto insists he is trained with weapons and can hold his own. But the guy just shuts him down. Without a spirit, all that training is completely worthless. They tell him to stop pretending, saying he is just embarrassing the real hunters by existing. Left alone in the trash, our boy clutches the stone that was meant to be his hope. And he has been at this for 2 years, desperately wondering why he is the only one left behind. Watching everyone else become heroes just cemented his status as a total outcast. Meanwhile, in the present-day E-rank dungeon, a fiery bull demon makes its grand entrance, and Hino, with his low-rank fire spirit Flam, easily handles one of the monsters, while Mito and her water spirit follow up, casually blasting another one into oblivion, and Kamiya finishes the sweep, frying a goblin with his electric-type spirit Fall. With the coast clear, the trio gets real smug about how easy this all is for them. But then Hino spots a little bat demon sneaking up on their pack mule Makoto. He yells out a warning, pointing out the monster right behind our oblivious boy, just as the demon lunges, ready to take a chunk out of Makoto's head. But our guy whips around, sword in hand, vowing to kill it because he is a hunter too, and he winds up for a big swing against the tiny, kinda pathetic-looking demon. Hino's just laughing though, saying a loser like him could never get a spirit anyway. And Makoto freezes, realizing his teammate thinks letting him die is a fitting end for a fake. Hino's words hit, and Makoto realizes they have locked him inside with the monster. And he totally panics, kicking himself for actually trusting these absolute clowns for a second. But there is no time to think. The bat demon lunges and he parries on pure instinct, only for the monster to catch his sword with its bare hand, looking totally unimpressed. Yep, just as he feared, physical attacks are completely useless without a spirit's power. This demon easily shoves his blade aside, and Makoto knows this is looking real bad, when suddenly a blast of fire torches the monster courtesy of Hino's spirit. And just like that, his would-be murderer strolls up asking if he is okay. Makoto, completely shaken, just manages to thank him for the last-minute save, but Hino just walks on by, brushing off the apology like it is nothing, and then pats him on the back, saying his moves were not half bad for a fake. Our boy is justifiably confused by this sudden personality transplant. Is this guy for real? He explains he has been training non-stop, just waiting for a pact to finally happen, and Hino offers some hollow encouragement, hoping he gets a spirit someday. Makoto actually buys it, thinking even a little pity is better than nothing at all. But as he looks on, Hino glances back at his smirking teammates, revealing a nasty, triumphant grin. The whole thing was just a sick joke. They finally reach the boss room, the deepest part of the E-rank dungeon. Hino stops the group, turning to Makoto to tell him a little story, explaining how different demons have unique characteristics and even specific routines. Makoto, ever the student, asks if he means exploiting the demon's predictable patterns, and Hino's like exactly, right before he shoves Makoto straight into the boss room. This massive gate slams shut, leaving our boy to pound on it in a total panic. He instantly realizes he fell for their little act, cursing himself for being so naive. And the sheer terror of the betrayal sinks in as he is trapped all alone in the dark. A sudden noise from behind makes him whip around, his heart pounding out of his chest. Coming face to face with the E-rank dungeon boss, a giant bull demon called Behemoth, our boy is completely frozen, staring up at the monster whose shadow just swallows him whole. And without any warning, the Behemoth brings a massive fist crashing down to flatten him. Meanwhile, his teammates are just chilling outside, casually declaring him dead for sure. But the attack misses, carving a huge crater where Makoto was just standing a second ago. He is left gasping for air, knowing his chances of winning against this thing are basically zero. But then he notices the beast has not fully awakened yet, giving him a tiny sliver of hope. Spotting a small opening in the cave wall, he sees a potential path to survival. So with no other choice, Makoto makes a dead sprint for the light at the end of the tunnel. This behemoth is not having it though, letting out a furious roar as it gives chase. And our guy is running for his life as the monster closes in, pure adrenaline fueling every step. Just as he is about to reach it, the demon hurls a massive boulder, sealing the exit completely. Makoto looks back in absolute horror, his one and only escape route now totally gone. From the monster's view, our boy is just a cornered rat with nowhere left to run. Cornered by the behemoth, Makoto desperately scrambles for any chance of survival, however small. And the sheer hopelessness of the situation finally hits him. This is a really bad day at work. A flash of his parents' death reminds him he has not accomplished anything he set out to do. So fueled by pure rage, he screams that he absolutely refuses to die in a place like this. His sacred stone suddenly cracks under the pressure, erupting with a strange purple energy, and the whole thing just explodes in his hand, unleashing a wild wave of dark power. This dark energy swirls around him in the shape of black feathers, much to his confusion, before a massive shockwave blasts outward, sending the behemoth stumbling back for a second. Suddenly, the whole cave vanishes, leaving Makoto kneeling in some bizarre purple void. And he looks down to see his sacred stone pulsing with a sinister energy he has never seen before. Black feathers begin to drift down from above as he reaches into the strange light. His eyes suddenly glow a vibrant purple, reflecting the wings of an approaching being. A woman with massive black wings then descends from the sky, floating right above him. Our boy just stares, completely dumbfounded by this sudden, winged visitor. Talk about a dramatic entrance. She gracefully extends a hand, addressing him simply as human, which is technically correct, and then gets right to the point, offering to form a pact with him. Meanwhile, back in reality, the behemoth is about to crush a dark sphere protecting Makoto's body, as her voice echoes again, urging him to form a pact while a single feather drifts by. Makoto's brain is still buffering this whole situation while she just tells him to hurry up, warning that this little pocket dimension is about to collapse, so it is now or never. This winged woman floats before him, laying out the final choice: form a pact with her, or do not, her piercing golden eyes practically daring him to refuse the offer. It finally dawns on Makoto that this is his divine spirit, making the answer pretty damn obvious. So he reaches out, ready to accept and finally get the power to fight alongside someone. Their hands clasp in a brilliant flash of purple light, sealing the deal for good. And with a calm smile, she confirms the pact is now officially complete. A stream of dark, shadowy energy then flows from her directly into his arm, embedding the sacred stone right into the back of his hand, pulsing with a sinister glow. Makoto is just absorbing the sensation, finally understanding what real power feels like. And back in the cave, he stands ready to face the behemoth, no longer afraid. Our boy gets into a fighting stance, sword held tight, looking like a completely different person. Just as the massive demon comes barreling toward him, ready to finish the job, he can feel the incredible pressure from its charge, which seems even stronger now. And the monster's face is pure rage, clearly not happy its meal is still standing. But Makoto holds his ground, knowing he is not the same weakling he was a moment ago. This beast throws a massive punch, but our guy dodges with unbelievable speed. Zipping across the cave floor so fast he cracks the stone where he lands. He is stunned that a light kick sent him flying, so this is the power of a divine spirit. And a newfound confidence surges through him as he grips the hilt of his sword, letting out a wild grin as he announces it is finally his turn to strike back. With his eyes glowing a fierce purple, Makoto's resolve is absolutely set. Because he knows a spirit's power is the only real way to fight these demons. But as the behemoth roars, he realizes he forgot to ask one tiny, crucial detail: what her powers actually are. He charges forward anyway, hoping for the best because standing still is a death sentence. And while sprinting for his life, he yells at his new partner, demanding to know her abilities, only to be completely floored to hear a voice answer inside his head, "Yep, that is how telepathy works, buddy." A tiny chibi version of his spirit pops up, casually telling him she forgot to mention it, then has the absolute nerve to blame him for not asking while he is busy not getting eaten. There is no time to argue though, as the behemoth's massive claws come swiping down, missing him by inches and absolutely pulverizing the ground where he just stood. After the dust settles, he sees a smaller, shadow-like version of the monster standing before him. He finally connects the dots, asking if this shadow manipulation is her big power. His spirit confirms it as dark energy continues to pour from the stone in his hand, explaining that when they are together, his arm is basically her arm, a very clingy partnership agreement. This ability is called Rebellion Shadow, and it is now swirling around his fingers with a dark glow, letting him freely manipulate shadows if he can just focus to figure it out. So mid-boss fight, our boy takes a moment for some intense meditation, as one does, closing his eyes to concentrate on this brand new, completely unexplained power set. As he clenches his fist, the swirling dark energy begins to take a solid form, manifesting into a badass-looking shadow sword much to his own surprise. His spirit explains the new power is Shadow Weapon, which is a fancy way of saying he can make pointy things out of darkness. And a confident smirk spreads across Makoto's face. He is feeling the upgrade, gripping his new blade and declaring this is more than enough to turn the tables. Now facing the behemoth, he is finally ready to fight back instead of just running for his life, even taunting the monster that he will not be leaving any openings this time around. This behemoth, clearly not a fan of trash talk, whips its massive tail at him with incredible speed. But the attack just shatters the ground because Makoto is already gone. With his new spirit-fueled agility, he easily sidesteps the blow, looking totally unfazed, and in a flash of purple, he zips past and lops off the monster's entire tail. This beast stumbles forward, now significantly shorter in the back department, while his shadow blade just hums, having done its job with brutal efficiency. For the first time, the behemoth looks genuinely stunned, maybe even a little scared. But Makoto is not giving it a break, announcing his next attack is coming right up. He launches himself into the air, bringing the shadow sword down for a decisive strike, only for the monster to throw up a massive arm, learning from its last mistake. This blade clashes against its tough hide, and the sheer force of the block sends him flying backward, forcing Makoto to realize the beast has already gauged his attack range and adapted. Taking the opening, the behemoth lunges forward, swiping with its razor-sharp claws, which tear deep gouges into the stone floor right where he was standing, and our boy is back on the defensive, creating distance as the enraged monster charges after him. Makoto channels the dark energy, forming a massive, wicked-looking shadow scythe from his arm, then launches himself into a crazy aerial spin, bringing the blade down in a devastating arc. And it slices clean through the behemoth's entire upper body, no resistance whatsoever. This monster just lets out a final, gurgling scream, completely stunned by the sudden turn of events, before its massive body comes crashing down to the cave floor, finally defeated. Standing over the corpse, Makoto smirks, confirming his hunch that the shadows can be shaped into anything. But a pillar of light suddenly blasts down from the dungeon's ceiling, aimed right at the body, which erupts in a blinding flash as it is seemingly purified or something. Our boy is just floating there, watching the light show from a safe distance, probably confused, when a sudden flashback hits him, remembering being called a useless waste of a sacred stone, with voices mocking him for being a fake hunter who would never get a spirit. But clenching his fist, he knows none of that was pointless after all, because he has been sharpening his fangs this whole time, just waiting for a chance. And with a furious roar, he declares this is the moment he has been preparing for. This behemoth's corpse suddenly starts twitching, its eye glowing red as dark spikes erupt from it, and the bisected monster pulls itself back together with pure shadow energy. Talk about a sore loser. A monstrous shadow beast forms from the remains, lunging forward to devour him whole. So Makoto slams his hand on the ground, unleashing his own wave of dark power. Sharp shadow spikes erupt from the floor, forming a protective cage all around him, and his spirit just appears, casually telling him she's got it handled, no problem at all. Makoto sincerely thanks his new partner, admitting he was saved because of her. But she just points back, clarifying she only lent her power and he did all the actual work. Overwhelmed with gratitude, he thanks her again for even making a pact with him in the first place. And her expression suddenly darkens, looking at him with some serious intensity. Though Makoto is too busy geeking out over the power of shadows, feeling like a real hunter now, he then asks if she is a high-ranking spirit since they just bodied an E-rank boss together. And from behind her wing, she hits him with a simple no, adding that she is not a divine spirit, because she is actually a demon, which is a pretty significant detail to leave out of the contract. Makoto's brain just completely short-circuits at this little bombshell, as a quick history lesson reminds us that demons are the bad guys who wrecked the world and killed spirits. Humans only survive by forming pacts with divine spirits to become hunters, so our boy is having a moment, realizing he just teamed up with the literal enemy. His new demon partner seems a little flustered by his reaction, maybe not used to the whole explaining I am evil thing. And trying to stay calm, Makoto just decides they need to hash out the details later, a very mature response. As they reach the dungeon exit, he figures the worst must be over by now, while the party that abandoned him peeks in, casually assuming he has already been digested. Makoto spots them and his face just screams pure, unadulterated rage. Leaving them completely stunned, he is still alive and wondering where the hell the boss monster went. Then the red-haired guy finally sees the winged woman and realizes Makoto actually formed a pact. And the cowards are now totally panicking, wondering what on earth they are supposed to do. This red-haired guy eats dirt as his party realizes they are totally screwed if Makoto talks, so their brilliant solution is to just kill him, with the whole squad powering up for round 2. Makoto just stares back, his expression a perfect blend of "are you serious" and "try me." But before getting to the beatdown, he turns to his partner and finally asks for her name, and she is a little taken aback, probably not expecting polite introductions mid-standoff. After a moment, she introduces herself. Her name is Renoa, calling out her name as he asks to borrow her power again, shadows erupting around him. Renoa herself seems a bit stunned by the sheer intensity he is putting out now. Meanwhile, the red-haired chump gets back up, still convinced Makoto's a weakling they can easily crush. His own little fire spirit is practically begging him not to fight, clearly terrified of what it sees, even calling its master an idiot for not noticing the absolutely monstrous aura coming off Renoa. This other two cowards are also losing their nerve, their own spirits trembling in fear. And Red Hair's spirit admits they have no idea who she is, but her power is off the charts, pegging her as having the strength of a top-class divine spirit, the absolute highest tier. This news sends the entire party into a full-blown panic because that is supposedly impossible, and Makoto overhears this, looking just as surprised as they are to learn his partner is S tier. A quick spirit ranking 101 shows us that top class is the tiny, pointy end of a very big pyramid, which basically means she is one of the absolute strongest beings in existence. With this new info, Makoto turns to Renoa and demands to know who she actually is. But she just points at the enemy, coolly telling him there is no time for a Q&A session right now. Red Hair stomps the ground, absolutely refusing to back down from this fight, screaming that Makoto is still a worthless loser who just got lucky with the boss, while his smarter party members realize a pact with a top-class spirit makes all that irrelevant. But the guy just calls them cowards, his ego clearly writing checks his body cannot cash. He then charges forward, ready to show Makoto the power of a real hunter, whatever that means. Yet Makoto just watches the flaming fist come right for his face, looking bored out of his mind, effortlessly catching the punch with one hand and completely neutralizing the attack. This leaves Red Hair absolutely stunned that his big move was just stopped. As our boy easily dodges the follow-up flurry, seeing every single move in slow motion. There's even time to analyze the guy's fire magic before Red Hair unleashes his ultimate move, a massive fire breath attack that Makoto counters with a casual flick of his shadow-powered hand, slicing the entire blast clean in half, much to the shock of everyone watching. To add insult to injury, Makoto asks if he is even trying a legendary burn, which causes Red Hair's brain to just completely blue screen at the sheer disrespect. In a fit of rage, he yells that Makoto is just a weakling who got lucky with a strong spirit, a claim that gets a cold smirk from our boy, who is about to set the record straight. With shadows swirling around him, he admits Red Hair formed his pact way faster, though the key difference is that Makoto never, ever gave up on his dream. So the power he has earned through sheer grit is something he would never call simple luck, leaving the bully with nothing left but impotent rage as he curses Makoto's name. Red Hair goes full-on anime villain, screaming about his ultimate secret technique to burn Makoto to ashes, then yells at his terrified party members to get in on the action because it is do-or-die time. And reluctantly, the other two power up their own magic, realizing they are completely cornered. This whole team combines their powers into a massive elemental blast aimed right at our boy, and they are already celebrating, with Red Hair laughing that in the end, trash is still trash. But when the smoke finally clears, Makoto is just standing there, completely untouched by their attack, a sight that sends the entire party into a state of pure jaw-on-the-floor shock. Makoto calmly explains he cut through all their attacks, adding the boss was way faster, a legendary burn. And taking a single, deliberate step forward, he signals that playtime is officially over. A terrifying shadow with glowing eyes manifests behind him as he asks if they are ready for what is next. Red Hair's face is a beautiful portrait of a man whose ego has just been shattered into a million pieces, but he tries to rally, screaming "Do not mess with me" while his hand visibly trembles, then launches himself forward in a rage, still insisting Makoto is just a pathetic wannabe. Makoto's shadow blade meets the flaming attack, stopping the full power punch without even trying, leaving the bully completely exposed and stunned as our boy just stares him down. And in a panic, the guy demands to know what the hell Makoto even is anymore, while dark energy gathers ominously in Makoto's open palm, which he then clenches into a fist, ready to end this little reunion. A single shadow-infused punch lands square in Red Hair's stomach with brutal, overwhelming force, sending the guy flying backward, spitting blood and utterly, completely defeated. With the sacred stone glowing on his hand, he finally declares himself a true hunter. His former party members are absolutely losing their minds as their leader goes down hard, and Red Hair is just out cold on the floor, eyes rolled back, a truly pathetic sight. Makoto stands over him, coldly telling the others to grab their friend and get lost, then gives them a final, chilling warning to keep their mouths shut about what happened here. These two cowards are practically tripping over themselves to obey, scrambling to drag their leader away. As Red Hair just mumbles about his strength being gone, "Yeah, no kidding, buddy," Makoto looks down at the glowing stone on his fist, finally feeling the weight of his new power. When Renoa appears, a little surprised he just punched the guy instead of, killing him. He just turns and gives her a genuine smile, thanking her for fighting by his side. And in response, she gives him a soft, warm smile of her own, which is a pretty big deal. Now that the trash is taken out, they remember they were in the middle of a very important conversation. So Makoto gets right back to it, asking her to finally explain the whole "I am a demon" thing. Renoa's hand trembles as she clenches her fist, clearly struggling with what to say next. And with her eyes closed, she takes a deep breath, preparing to reveal her past. She then drops an absolute bombshell. She was once a divine spirit from the angel race, but because of some mysterious event, she fell from grace and became a demon, which completely stuns Makoto since angels are one of the highest-ranking spirits there are. Seeing his reaction, Renoa offers to terminate their pact right now if he wants out, even telling him not to hesitate, though she looks absolutely terrified of his answer. Renoa braces for his rejection, explaining that for a demon this is just how things are, but Makoto just listens, his expression completely serious as he takes it all in. Then completely out of left field, he decides now is the perfect time for formal introductions. Giving his full name and age like this is a first date, not a pact with a world-ending entity. Renoa is just completely thrown, wondering why on earth he is doing this now asterisk of all times. And Makoto clarifies he is not canceling the pact because he can tell she is not a bad person. This simple act of trust leaves her absolutely speechless, her eyes wide with disbelief. As he smiles, explaining this is his way of showing he is counting on her from now on. She is still trying to process this sudden, unconditional acceptance from the human she just met. And with a small smile, she calls him a strange person but agrees to the partnership. Makoto gives a confident look in return. Their bond is now officially solidified. With that settled, he turns to leave the dungeon, ready to finally head back home, and the two of them walk toward the exit together, a newly formed and very powerful team. But from the shadows, a monstrous hand reaches out as if watching them escape. Elsewhere, a wild-looking demon complains that the fallen angel Renoa actually betrayed them, though his more composed, lab coat-wearing partner tells him to shut up, calling her betrayal irrelevant. This first demon just grins maniacally, finding the whole situation incredibly amusing, and alongside a creepy-looking partner, he muses that he was hoping for some entertainment. This scene then shifts away from the villain's lair to a quiet city at night. Landing on a simple apartment building, likely where our boy is finally heading home, Makoto brings her back to his place, announcing they have arrived at apartment 303, and he flicks on the lights, the packed stone on his hand still faintly glowing, revealing his home is a room with a bed and some boxes, peak bachelor living. Our boy casually tells the former angel to make herself at home, which is easier said than done. So Renoa just sort of wanders in, clearly not sure what to make of this whole situation. She eventually settles at his desk, looking like a queen visiting a peasant's hovel, then asks if a human actually lives here, a question that stops Makoto in his tracks, because apparently his apartment has the same cozy vibe as a demon world cave. Makoto's a little flustered, admitting it is just a place to crash, but still. Trying to salvage the mood, he asks her if there is anything she actually likes. Clarifying he means literally anything, trying to find common ground with his S-tier partner. Renoa's answer is simple and a little poetic. She likes beautiful scenery, and our boy glances at his taped-up window, admitting that makes a lot of sense. This gives him a brilliant idea, suggesting they try putting some flowers in the room, explaining he just thought they'd look nice, a simple gesture that catches her off guard. And she actually agrees, complimenting his taste and calling it a great idea. Beaming, Makoto proposes a new team tradition: they will buy flowers after every dungeon clear, which earns him a genuine, heartfelt smile from Renoa, a huge step for their partnership. With the day's chaos finally catching up to him, Makoto yawns, ready to call it a night, but Renoa points to his single bed and asks if that is where he sleeps, leaving things awkward. Makoto just agrees, casually saying he will get changed for the night, while Renoa has already claimed his bed, noting it is a bit cramped for two people, which completely short-circuits our boy's brain when she asks if they are sharing. Apparently that is normal in heaven. He starts panicking, suddenly realizing he has no idea if spirits can even sleep outside their stones, and she admits she probably cannot, so he politely suggests she just head back inside for now. With a quick good night, she disappears back into the glowing purple stone on his hand, leaving Makoto to just stare at his fist for a moment, processing this whole new reality. Later that night, he lies awake in bed, trying to figure out what his next move should be, realizing that if anyone finds out he is contracted to a demon, he will be forced to go solo. So with new resolve, he decides to start small by clearing an F-rank dungeon all by himself. This next day, he heads straight for the Japan Hunter Association headquarters to get started. Inside, he checks in with Renoa, who confirms from within the stone that this is a good decision, though he is a little worried that a giant purple gem on his hand is not exactly subtle. Pushing those concerns aside, he walks up to the front desk to register for a dungeon run, and the receptionist confirms his request to take on a simple F-rank mission. But just as he is about to finish, a huge commotion erupts from the lobby entrance, as a massive crowd swarms around some big-shot hunter who apparently rarely shows his face. A pair of very confident boots strides forward while the crowd gushes over how handsome this guy is, and it is revealed to be S-rank hunter Amagi Yugo, who believes a drink is the best way to wake up. He then proceeds to chug sake right there in the middle of the day, because S-ranks operate on their own schedule. This crowd absolutely loses it over this guy, begging for autographs like he is some kind of rock star, but Yugo just takes a swig of sake, completely unfazed by the chaos as usual. He scans the crowd with total boredom, thinking about how nothing ever really changes here, but then his eyes lock onto something and his whole demeanor instantly shifts, because he has spotted Makoto, who is just trying to mind his own business in the background. Our boy realizes he has made direct eye contact with the S-rank and is immediately on edge, and a very unsettling smirk spreads across Yugo's face, clearly intrigued by what he sees. In a flash, the S-ranker is right in Makoto's face, demanding to know his name and rank, leaving Makoto completely stunned, pointing at himself like, "Are you seriously talking to me?" Yugo explains it has been a while since he has talked to a guy, which is the weirdest flex ever. So our boy just answers honestly, introducing himself as a lowly F-rank hunter. And the S-ranker just nods along, acting like he totally gets it, but his expression is unreadable. He then looms over Makoto, repeating F-rank with a really weird, intense vibe. A very nervous Makoto asks if he needs something, probably hoping the answer is no. But Yugo just pats the receptionist on the head and apologizes for the interruption, completely changing gears. Then proceeds to hit on her right in front of everyone, asking her out for tea with a wink. As he leaves, he points back at Makoto and casually says his name, which is super creepy, leaving our boy totally bewildered, wondering if he just got flirted with by an S-rank dude. Meanwhile, the receptionist is having a complete system failure, just short-circuiting from the attention, and she is lost in a fantasy about Lord Amagi before snapping back to reality to help Makoto. Makoto is left wondering what that whole bizarre encounter with the S-rank was even about, but the still swooning receptionist snaps out of it just long enough to give him the dungeon coordinates, and with the tablet in hand, he heads out, psyching himself up for his first solo run. This location turns out to be a surprisingly peaceful, sun-drenched forest, where a massive, swirling purple dungeon gate is just casually waiting for him. He double-checks the map on his device, and yeah, everything seems to be in order. So with a confident look, our boy is ready to prove what he can do alone. He steps right through the portal, heading into the unknown, only to find himself in a super gloomy cave that feels way too oppressive for an F-rank. Renoa immediately appears, asking if F-rank demons are really supposed to be the weakest, which is not reassuring. As the cave glows an ominous red, Makoto asks if she is sensing something dangerous, and the answer comes as a massive wolf paw with a blue aura swipes right at him, forcing Makoto to instantly summon his own dark power to block the surprise attack. He barely manages to intercept the lightning-fast strike from the beast, sparks flying everywhere, and the impact sends him skidding back, showing just how much force was behind that blow. It is a total blur of claws and shadows as the monster relentlessly presses its assault. Renoa checks on him and he confirms he is okay, somehow still reeling from the speed. He cannot believe how insanely fast the thing is moving, a literal blur of blue energy. And that is when he sees it is not just one monster, it is a whole pack of chaos wolves. Renoa immediately identifies them as D-rank demons, confirming this F-rank dungeon is a complete trap. Makoto realizes this is not an F-rank dungeon at all, but a D-rank death trap, and now he is completely surrounded, standing protectively in front of Renoa as magic flares. He glances back and of course the escape gate is conveniently sealed shut, classic. Our boy admits to Renoa that with his current power level this is looking pretty grim, telling her that taking on this whole pack at once is basically a suicide mission. Renoa just listens, her expression serious as she takes in their impossible odds. So Makoto forces himself to calm down, deciding the only way out is to thin the herd. His strategy is simple enough, focus everything he has on taking down just one wolf. But before he can even make a move, a clawed paw descends from right above him, and he barely dodges a vicious swipe from one of the lightning-fast beasts. This sheer speed of the attack leaves him completely stunned for a split second, forcing him to desperately block another wolf's lunge with his shadow blade. He is driven to one knee, struggling to hold his ground against the monster's raw strength. Realizing their pack coordination is perfect, which makes this incredibly annoying. Gritting his teeth, he desperately tries to think of a way through this onslaught. But another wolf lunges forward, its jaws wide open for the kill. So Makoto shoves his sword right into its mouth, which is one way to stop a bite. While he is occupied, another wolf immediately exploits the opening, attacking his flank. And he takes a nasty hit, the pain clear on his face as he is getting overwhelmed. This force of the blow sending him reeling back from the coordinated assault. Kneeling from the last hit, Makoto admits every single one of these wolves is dangerously strong, and their pack tactics are perfect, leaving him wondering if he is completely out of options. Renoa, however, is just chilling on a shadow throne, saying she is thinking but wants to see what he will do. Thanks for the help. Our boy gets to his feet, facing down the three snarling beasts that have him surrounded, and one of the wolves gives him a death glare, signaling the next attack is imminent. A silent, determined look crosses Makoto's face as he commits to a desperate plan, knowing it is a massive risk, but it is also the only way he is getting out of this alive. He touches the ground, his shadow powers swirling around his hand for a moment, then suddenly dispels them completely, leaving himself seemingly wide open and powerless. Renoa is completely shocked, realizing he just erased his own ability, a move that is just pure insanity. This wolves immediately take the bait, pouncing on what they think is an easy kill. But at the last possible second, Makoto reignites his power, summoning a shadow weapon, which one of the wolves immediately sinks its teeth into, getting a face full of magic. Using the opening, he spins through the attack, slicing down two of the monsters in one clean arc, and he is left panting, just barely managing to reactivate his ability in the nick of time. Even Renoa is impressed, realizing he faked weakness to create an opening and wipe them out. She then asks why this is even happening, noting this place is way too tough for a dungeon's first level. And Makoto agrees he has no idea, but he is pretty sure this is a D-rank dungeon. He admits that at his current strength, a D rank is a massive problem for him, but since the gate is sealed, he concludes their only way forward is to find and kill the boss. Just when he thinks he is clear, a sound from deeper in the cave stops him cold. And of course, it is a whole new pack of wolves because this dungeon hates him personally. Renoa, however, tells him not to worry, saying something is different now, which is super vague, giving him some quick instructions to just raise a hand and imagine shadow chains. Our boy looks a little skeptical but gives it a shot, raising his hand just like she said, and a torrent of purple chains suddenly explodes from his palm with some serious force, which immediately find their target, wrapping around a charging wolf's muzzle and legs. He has just learned Shadow Bind, a new ability for restraining his enemies, which is very handy. A confident little smirk spreads across his face as he realizes he has got a new toy, and the chains yank the wolf back hard, completely neutralizing its attack in midair. He then uses the now captured wolf as a literal meat shield against another one. Genius move, looking pretty damn pleased with himself for pulling that off so smoothly. But another wolf is already pouncing, trying to catch him while he is distracted, so this time he is ready, unleashing another Shadow Bind without even hesitating. That second wolf gets slammed to the ground, completely immobilized by the magic chains, and he is totally geeking out, telling Renoa how awesome and easy this new power is. She agrees he is a natural but warns him it is a huge mana drain, so he'd better be careful. And with his new trick mastered, he confidently strides deeper into the ominous cave. After clearing the rest, he stands there feeling invincible, claiming he is not even tired, as Renoa explains that hunters simply get stronger with every demon they defeat. Makoto takes a moment to admire his shadow sword, realizing he is actually getting stronger now, and feeling that power up, he confidently strides deeper into the cave, ready for what is next. Meanwhile, Renoa notes his rapid growth is only possible because his physical foundation was already solid, and she is also impressed by his mental strength, realizing he has got the brains to back up the brawn. A sly smile crosses her face as she admits she is genuinely excited to see what he does next. Before he knows it, he is standing in front of a massive, ornate door, the boss room, of course. This kid just stands there for a beat, the gravity of facing a D-rank boss finally hitting him. And noticing his hesitation, Renoa's voice cuts through the silence, calling out his name. She materializes beside him, looking genuinely concerned by his sudden pause at the door, but Makoto just states that clearing dungeons is a hunter's duty, as if that explains everything. He then adds that only a hunter can even open the door to the boss room, so it is all on him. Our boy admits he is honestly scared of a D-rank boss, but also totally thrilled by the challenge. And with a determined look, he declares this is his chance to finally prove he is a real hunter. Renoa, however, immediately cuts him off, reminding him this is just the beginning, way to kill the mood. Taking her point, he clenches his fist, agreeing that this is just the first step on a long road, then makes a grand vow to become a hunter who can save the world and to make it back alive. With his big hero speech out of the way, he finally grabs the handle to the boss room. And the heavy doors creak open, revealing nothing but an oppressive, swirling darkness inside. Undeterred, Makoto steps right into the misty, ominous chamber, ready for a fight. But a single bead of sweat betrays all that confidence. Our boy is absolutely terrified, and the boss is a massive D-rank hell scorpion because this day just keeps getting better. Our boy immediately notes that its outer shell looks ridiculously tough to crack, and he is already trying to analyze its composition while visibly shaking in his boots. Renoa's voice then chimes in, helpfully pointing out he is terrified. Thanks for the support. Trying to play it cool, Makoto clenches his fist and insists he is totally fine, calling it battle jitters with the least convincing, sweat-drenched smile in history. This scorpion does not wait for him to get comfortable, slamming its stinger straight down, which smashes into the ground with enough force to shatter the entire cavern floor, leaving a deep crater right where he was standing just a moment ago. He knows that taking a direct hit from that sharp, lightning-fast strike is an instant game over, and before he can even breathe, the stinger whips back for another go, forcing him to throw up a shadow shield just to survive the next onslaught. He slides back, desperately deflecting the blow with his sword and magic. But his blade just scrapes uselessly off the monster's hide, sending sparks everywhere. Landing on his feet, he confirms the armor is just as impossible as he feared, so the scorpion winds up for a massive horizontal swipe with its pincer, and Makoto decides his only option is to dodge while searching for a weak spot, reasoning that even the toughest armor has to have weaker joints somewhere. Meanwhile, Renoa just watches from her throne, looking vaguely interested in his survival. And it looks like he has found his target, the monster's vulnerable leg joints. Makoto goes all in, aiming his shadow blade right for the scorpion's vulnerable leg joint, and he brings the sword down with every ounce of power he has, hoping to crack the shell, which does absolutely nothing, not even leaving a single scratch on the damn thing. This scorpion immediately retaliates with a tail whip, swatting him away like an annoying fly. So Makoto stumbles back, desperately asking Renoa if she has any brilliant ideas, and she helpfully points out that he is just too weak to damage it. Great pep talk. Our boy just smirks, realizing this is just another surpass your limits anime moment, which is good because the scorpion is already winding up another instant-kill tail strike. So Makoto whips out his brand new move, unleashing a shadow bind with a yell. His magic chains immediately shoot out and wrap around the monster's deadly stinger, and he pulls with all his might, trying to divert the massive attack away from himself. This stinger crashes down just inches away, making him realize he almost became a pancake. But in the chaos, his eyes lock onto one of the monster's other leg joints, noticing a tiny, almost invisible crack in the otherwise perfect armor and opening. He gets a sudden flash of insight. Slashing is useless, but maybe blunt force is not. Just as the scorpion comes at him with a massive pincer swipe, not giving him a break, forcing Makoto to dodge frantically while trying to get close to that weak spot. And he is barely holding on, realizing the boss is only getting more aggressive. His mind races, knowing he needs to change his weapon's shape if he wants to win this. When Renoa's voice cuts in, reminding him of the first time he ever created a shadow weapon, a sudden spark of understanding hits Makoto's eyes, remembering Renoa's words about how he first created his sword. With a confident smirk, he finally understands the key to this fight, just as the scorpion lunges with its pincer, forcing him to leap into the air. From her throne, Renoa points out he is now a sitting duck with nowhere to dodge. And right on cue, the monster's stinger shoots up to impale him mid-flight. Makoto just smirks, saying he totally saw that coming as he unleashes his chains, which immediately latch onto the scorpion's pincer, giving him an anchor point. Gripping the magic link, he uses it to slingshot himself back towards the ground, rocketing downward with insane speed, aiming straight for the boss. In midair, his shadow sword begins to morph into a completely new shape, becoming a gigantic, brutal-looking shadow hammer perfect for smashing things. This new weapon comes crashing down with a final yell, shattering the scorpion's leg joint. His face is pure, focused intensity as the devastating blow connects, and as the monster staggers, he admits he was too fixated on using a sword. Standing over the beast, he realizes his shadow weapon can be more than just a blade, giving a silent thank you to Renoa for her not-so-subtle hint. Our boy complains she could have just told him, but she insists he needed to figure it out himself. Looking at the defeated boss, he agrees it was a valuable, if terrifying, experience. He then jokes about wanting more near-death power-ups, and Renoa is not amused, not at all. This next day, Makoto heads to the Hunter Association building to cash in on his big win, where an employee is apologizing so hard you'd think she personally sent the scorpion after him. But our boy just waves it off, saying the near-death experience was great for his personal growth, which is a massive relief to her as she confirms his reward is ready for transfer. Makoto's eyes just about pop out of his head when he sees the payout, a cool 1.5 million, and the staffer explains a solo clear is a huge deal, basically begging him to work with them again. This woman is suddenly his biggest fan, practically sparkling as she calls him Mr. Hunter, leaving Makoto just a little stunned by the sudden hero worship he is getting, though he quickly recovers with a confident smirk, totally owning his new status. Feeling flush with cash, he turns to Renoa and suggests they finally go buy those flowers, thinking to himself that he can actually afford a decent bouquet for once in his life. But a sudden presence makes him stop dead in his tracks, completely confused by who he just saw. A green-haired woman appears right in front of him, calling out his name with a smile, and he recognizes her immediately, stammering out the name Kazane. She gives him a cheerful wave, asking how he has been after all this time, so he excitedly explains he has made a contract with a spirit, which completely floors her. And Kazane praises him for working so hard, leaving our boy a little flustered. Meanwhile, the peanut gallery is buzzing, recognizing her as a B-rank prodigy and wondering what she is doing with a nobody. And Renoa is not having it, popping up to jealously demand who this new girl is, forcing Makoto to quickly explain that she is Ryuka Kazane, his super talented childhood friend. Makoto continues his explanation to Renoa, who just looks adorably confused by the whole situation. This girl apparently hates demons with a passion that puts every other hunter to shame. And a quick flashback shows they were inseparable as kids, always playing together at the park. Their bond stayed strong even as they grew up, sticking together through their school years. But then we see the tragedy that changed everything, her and her brother running for their lives from a demon. Her brother is absolutely terrified, knowing they are completely outmatched by the monster, and a nasty gash to the leg pretty much seals his fate right there. Despite the injury, he turns to face the beast, screaming at Kazane to just run, his only thought being for her to survive even if he has to die to make it happen. And just like that, the demon cuts him down as Kazane can only watch in horror. Turns out they both got their sacred stones around the same time about 2 years ago. But back then, Makoto had to apologize because his divine spirit was a total no-show. He felt like he was breaking their promise to become hunters and fight side by side. And Kazane understood, but with her brother's memory driving her, she could not afford to wait. So they went their separate ways, with him left behind while she forged ahead on her own. Which brings us back to the present, where Kazane is absolutely demolishing a parfait. Priorities, you know. She is super impressed he soloed a D-rank dungeon, though he humbly reminds her he is still F-rank. Leaning in close, she praises him before getting serious about what she really wants to know. Kazane asks him point-blank what kind of divine spirit he actually managed to contract with, and our boy is caught completely off guard, trying to figure out how to answer that without revealing his partner is a demon queen. He is trying to figure out a good excuse since his demonic partner can just pop up whenever. So Makoto goes with the classic, "It is a bit shy" line, which Kazane finds pretty interesting. And Renoa is absolutely fuming, telepathically screaming that she is not shy, it is just complicated. Not one to be outdone, Kazane decides she will just introduce her own divine spirit instead. And out pops Wave, her upper-ranked wind spirit, who looks like a ridiculously dapper butler. This spirit is so polite it is almost unnerving, bowing and leaving Makoto completely flustered. With introductions over, Kazane casually asks when he is planning to get his rank reassessed, suggesting he should probably use the time until then to get a whole lot stronger. Then she invites him to tackle a C-rank dungeon with her, a massive jump for our F-rank boy. This offer immediately puts Makoto on the spot and he is visibly sweating the decision, thinking the power gap is just too massive and he'd only hold her back, not to mention the Renoa problem. But Kazan just gives this super creepy, shadowed-over smile that says she's not taking no for an answer, remembering how he used to lead her as a kid, but now she cannot miss this opportunity. And her creepy face vanishes, replaced by pure joy as she celebrates them finally teaming up again. Meanwhile, the scene cuts to a sleek, modern building at night, setting a much more serious tone, where we are heading into the first conference room. You know it is about to get real. Inside, a bunch of high-ranking officials are gathered, and the topic on the table is Magin, which are described as powerful, intelligent humanoid demons, all B rank or higher. And after laying low for years, these things have recently taken out at least a dozen hunters, prompting the association president, Himiro, to grimly recall just how exceptionally strong they are. This president just laughs, bragging that in his prime he would have handled these demons himself. But a section chief named Mishima cuts in, insisting her gate management system is working perfectly. Which is when someone points out the big problem: these Magin only appear after a dungeon is cleared. And just then a blonde guy named Amagi strolls in late with a bottle, asking if he missed anything. Mishima is absolutely livid he is late, but he just flirts, telling her not to ruin her pretty face. What a charmer. A screen then displays the faces of all the hunters who have already been killed by these new threats. So Amagi takes a swig from his bottle, casually mentioning he might have an idea about this. He volunteers to handle it since he's got some free time, much to everyone's surprise. And with the president's blessing, Amagi gives a cocky salute and heads out on his own. This scene then cuts back to Makoto, who looks like he is preparing for his own big mission. While Amagi walks off, thinking it is time to see if one of his predictions is about to come true, we then jump to a dark, graffiti-covered hallway, the C-rank dungeon Makoto and Kazane are tackling, where a burst of purple energy signals their dramatic entrance into the danger zone. Makoto asks Kazane if she is nervous, and she admits she is, just a little bit. Our boy is also internally freaking out about the power difference and the whole Renoa-Kazane situation. But Kazane just smiles, promising to protect him no matter what, which leaves him totally flustered. He quickly regains his composure, saying he is not here to be a burden and will pull his own weight. This two of them stand ready as dark, ominous energy swirls all around them. And their first opponents appear, a pair of nasty-looking C-rank gargoyle demons. Makoto's shadow magic immediately flares up as he gets ready for the fight to begin. Makoto decides to play it smart and assess the situation first. But Kazane is already a blur of green energy, lunging forward with her spear, instantly decapitating one of the gargoyles in a single brutal strike. Our boy is just left standing there, completely stunned by her overwhelming speed, while she declares with ice in her voice that every last demon must be destroyed. He is just in awe of her power, which is way beyond anything he expected. And then she suddenly freezes, sensing something else in the air. Her head whips around, announcing a demonic presence coming from his direction. With a deeply suspicious look, she asks if that energy could possibly be coming from him, which sends Makoto into an immediate panic. So much for a stealthy partnership. She continues to stare him down, her question hanging in the air like a death sentence, leaving our boy absolutely terrified that his secret is already blown. He tries to subtly suppress his shadow magic, hoping she will just let it go. And surprisingly, she does, turning away and saying she must have been mistaken. Makoto quickly plays along, telling her to stay alert to cover his tracks, realizing her sensitivity to demonic energy is on a whole other level, and she almost certainly sensed the magic from his shadow ability. He knows he should probably explain the whole Renoa situation, especially with her intense hatred. But after watching her go full Terminator, he is thinking maybe now's not the best time. And right on cue, a gigantic new demon erupts from the darkness, giving them a much bigger problem. Kazane immediately powers up with her wind spirit's mantle, her eyes glowing with pure intent, and the giant gargoyle barely has time to register its own shock before getting blasted. Then she is a blur of motion, leaping through the air to slice and dice another demon. Her attack punching clean through the monster's chest with absolutely zero hesitation, leaving behind nothing but a gory green vortex as she continues her aerial assault. Her face is just ice cold, completely locked in on her mission of total demon annihilation, while Makoto just gawks from below, realizing his friend can literally fly now. So he figures he should at least try to handle the ground troops while she is busy up there. A diving gargoyle gives him the perfect chance to prove he is not just here for moral support, and unleashing his shadow magic, he confidently tells Kazane to leave this one to him, knowing these new demons are stronger but reminding himself that he has grown too. He summons a shadow weapon, molding the dark energy into a brand new form, which turns out to be a freaking shadow gun that he immediately fires point blank. And the blast just completely obliterates the monster into a dozen bloody pieces. Even Kazane is floored, wondering how in the world his sword just morphed into a firearm, but she quickly brings up sensing demonic energy from him earlier, though she dismisses it for now. Makoto is sweating buckets, relieved he dodged that bullet but terrified by her sharp senses. just as Renoa telepathically asks if he is seriously planning to lie about her forever. And he internally defends her, insisting she is not just some demon, she is his reliable partner. This kid desperately wishes he could just explain everything, but knows Kazane's deep-seated hatred is a massive wall. Makoto is still agonizing over what to do, knowing his secret could blow up at any moment. And as they reach the boss door, Kazane asks if he is even able to focus on the fight. He stammers out a yeah, but his internal monologue is just a full-blown panic attack. She just assumes he is nervous about the C-rank boss, which is only, half the problem. But with a supportive smile, Kazane tells him he is not alone and to just go all out. Our boy decides to table that whole conversation for after they win. Priorities, right? They share a quick fist bump, finally ready to fight side by side like they always planned. And with a massive boom, the doors swing open to reveal their final challenge. A hulking C-rank Cyclops demon whose sheer presence is completely overwhelming. Kazane immediately activates her wind spirit's mantle, her eyes glowing with pure hatred. Zipping forward in a flash, she closes in as the Cyclops raises its massive club to strike. But Makoto is already one step ahead, wrapping his arm in crackling shadow chains, unleashing a shadow bind that shoots out to lock down the monster's attack. And this perfectly timed assist gives Kazane the opening to stab the beast right in the back. This Cyclops roars in fury, its single eye glowing with rage at their flawless teamwork. So Kazane follows up with a devastating wind-powered slash that carves right through it. They both shout each other's names, signaling the start of a coordinated pincer move, with Makoto planting his feet for a ground assault while she launches into the air. And the two of them converge on the monster from opposite directions in a blur of motion, letting Makoto land a perfect shadow-infused punch right as she strikes with her spear. With their combo landed, the two of them immediately reposition for the next phase. Makoto and Kazane swap places in a blur, completely disorienting the Cyclops. She gives a smug grin, knowing they are perfectly in sync without even speaking. This monster just roars in absolute fury as she zips right past its defenses. And Makoto takes the chance to wrap the beast up in even more shadow chains. With the Cyclops completely immobilized, he yells for Kazane to deliver the final blow. She gives a quick thanks, her hands already glowing with overwhelming power. Then she and her spirit wave unleash a massive wind shower attack from above, which rains down a devastating barrage of light that just annihilates the boss. Our boy is just left speechless, completely blown away by her raw power. With the Cyclops gone, Kazane excitedly runs back over to him, giving him a huge smile and a thumbs up for their flawless teamwork, and he is immediately blushing, not used to this level of praise from her. They share a celebratory high five, finally back in action together. Makoto thinks to himself how their synergy is just as good as he always imagined. But he knows this is not the end, there is still a much bigger issue to deal with. Even Wave pops in to complement their perfect coordination, much to Kazane's delight. She beams, declaring that with a partnership this strong, they are basically unstoppable. This puts Makoto on the spot, and you can see him gulping down his panic, because he finally decides it is time to come clean about the whole Renoa situation. Makoto starts taking off his glove, finally ready to tell her everything about Renoa. And the tension between them is absolutely electric as the big reveal hangs in the air. But of course, a massive shockwave interrupts them just as he is about to speak. A huge pillar of sinister red energy erupts from the ground right in front of them, and a single foot steps out of the chaos, heralding a brand new problem. Both of them are just stunned, wondering what the hell is emerging from the darkness, as a pale, clawed hand reaches out from within the demonic aura. A horned pretty boy demon with a six-pack strolls out, looking way too happy to be here. With a creepy grin, he announces that he has finally found who he was looking for. This new guy just radiates pure menace, his glowing eyes locked right on them. Makoto is instantly terrified, recognizing this demon's aura as leagues beyond anything he has faced, and he is completely thrown off by the fact that it is a humanoid demon. Kazane immediately steps in front of him, calling the creature out as a Magin. This demon, introducing himself as Grom, seems delighted she knows his species. What a fanboy. It dawns on Makoto that the rumors about these post-clear Magin were terrifyingly true. So Kazane, ever the hero, tells him to run while she buys time, convinced they cannot win. Our boy refuses to leave her behind, but she has already made up her mind, seeing no other option. Powering up her wind spirit's mantle, she prepares to sacrifice herself for his escape. She then launches herself at Grom in a blur of green energy, going all out, and he just laughs in her face, mocking her for moving in slow motion. Kazane's face is pure shock, realizing her all-out attack is being tracked perfectly, and from the sidelines, Makoto can only gawk at the insane speed of their clash. Our boy is sweating buckets, admitting he cannot even see an opening to intervene, and Grom just casually stops her spear with his bare hand right against his six-pack. With a smug grin, he tells her he has got her right where he wants her, completely shutting down her kamikaze charge with absolutely zero effort. His expression is just pure condescending boredom, like she is a mild inconvenience, and with a flick of his wrist, he sends her flying backwards like a ragdoll. Mid-flight, she desperately tells Wave to unleash their secret technique, so her hands start glowing as she preps one last desperate trump card. Channeling every last bit of power, she screams out the name of her ultimate move. A massive pillar of wind energy just erupts from her, dwarfing everything in the room, which she then fires down as a gigantic blade of pure destructive energy. This shockwave is so intense that even Makoto has to shield himself with his shadow magic. Landing on the ground, Kazane is completely spent, having poured everything into that attack. She steadies herself, bracing to see if her final gamble actually paid off. But Grom is just standing there, calling her ultimate attack a gentle breeze, total psycho flex. Her face just falls, the horror dawning that her best shot did absolutely nothing. He casually points out her intense grudge, and she just spits back that she will kill every last demon, which just makes him grin, cryptically asking if she even knows what she is talking about. Kazane demands to know what he is talking about, completely lost by his cryptic comment. Grom then points right at Makoto, dropping the bombshell that our boy has a pact with a demon. Makoto just grits his teeth, absolutely furious that this rando knows his deepest secret. In total denial, Kazane insists it cannot be true, but the demon just smugly confirms it. She passionately defends him, claiming he'd never keep something like that a secret. Oh, honey. Our boy's fist clenches, the sweat dripping as his best friend accidentally makes everything worse. Turning on him, Kazane demands to know why he is not saying anything, her suspicion growing. She is practically begging him to deny it, but he knows the lie is finally over. With a heavy heart, he shows her the pact stone and admits it is all true. And then he summons Renoa, who materializes from the shadows right beside him. Kazane's face is just a mask of pure, soul-crushing shock and betrayal. Her eyes widen in horror, reflecting the image of the very thing she despises most. Makoto starts to plead his case, desperately hoping he can make her understand the situation. But her hand is already trembling with rage, her wind magic flaring uncontrollably. She just screams at him, asking why he would ever do something so unthinkable. Her trust completely shattered, she declares all demons are enemies and he cannot be trusted. This kid begs her to just calm down so they can talk it out like rational people. Ignoring him completely, she snarls that she will start by eliminating the demon right in front of her. Then she lunges forward with her spear, aiming to skewer Renoa on the spot. But Grom just casually intercepts, grabbing Kazane and calling her annoying. What a party crasher. Kazane is choking, completely overpowered by Grom's casual grip. But just as he is about to finish her, Makoto finally makes his move from the sidelines. A blur of shadow chains shoots across the cavern to intervene, wrapping around Grom's arm and forcing him to release his hold on Kazane. This demon just drops her, pointing at Renoa and calling her the fallen angel he is actually after. Looking absolutely disgusted, Renoa recoils, prompting Makoto to ask if they have some history. Grom explains that when she first fell, they tried to recruit her into their ranks. This new info clicks for Makoto, confirming that Magin are indeed intelligent demons. This pretty boy psycho continues his monologue, saying she was just a number to the divine spirits. Then he gets real slimy, asking if she does not want revenge on those who abandoned her. Having none of it, Renoa furiously tells him to shut his mouth. Unfazed, he keeps pushing his offer, promising her the chance to kill all the divine spirits she wants. His sales pitch gets even worse, adding that she can kill humans and demons too, you know, demon stuff. Completely tormented by his words, she just screams at him to stop. Her composure is completely shattered as she starts to stammer, unable to form a sentence. This poor girl is on the verge of tears, struggling to even speak. But Makoto steps right in front of her, declaring that Renoa is nothing like them. Grom just scoffs, mockingly asking what makes her so different. Our boy lays down his philosophy: a demon is something that hurts others without reason, and since Renoa is kind and his partner, she is not a demon at all. Renoa looks on, her expression filled with worry as she says Makoto's name. Grom, meanwhile, calls our boy a pathetic weakling, disgusted by all this sentimental friendship stuff. With a completely unhinged grin, he powers up, demanding they entertain him before he crushes them all. So Makoto and Renoa stand back to back, wreathed in shadow, ready for the fight of their lives. This demon just cracks his knuckles, towering over them like they are nothing more than insects. Renoa quickly whispers their only strategy: exploit his overconfidence to create an opening to escape. This guy just keeps smirking, clearly getting a kick out of the absolute terror he is causing. Then he lunges, firing a massive blast of pure demonic energy right at them. Makoto barely gets his shadow sword up in time, completely stunned by the insane speed. In a flash, Grom is right behind him, whispering some classic nothing personal kid taunts. A brutal kick sends Makoto flying straight into one of his own shadow portals, which immediately spits him out, sending him crashing hard across the cavern floor. He is left coughing in the dirt, completely at the demon's mercy. But our boy is not done yet, desperately summoning his shadow bind from the ground. This chains shoot out, wrapping around Grom's arm and leg in a last-ditch effort, and Makoto forms the shadows into a gun, pouring everything into a single shot. Grom just stands there, letting the chains bind him with an expression of pure boredom. This shadow bullet flies, and this psycho just casually catches it between two fingers. He then crushes the projectile in his hand without even flinching. With a smug grin, he muses that it would have been more fun to just throw it back. Grom casually taunts him from across the cavern, asking if his bag of tricks is empty already. Our boy is absolutely seething, realizing he is just a plaything for this monster. From the ground, Kazane can only watch, completely powerless to intervene, and her eyes widen in sheer terror as she sees what is about to happen next. In a last-ditch effort, Makoto just screams and charges forward like a madman, only to get casually backhanded across the face for all his trouble. Kazane can only scream his name, watching her friend get absolutely demolished. Renoa immediately swoops in, catching him before he can even hit the ground. She holds him steady, her expression a mix of pure concern and desperation. Meanwhile, Kazane is having a full-on existential crisis, finally processing the whole demon pact thing. Her world completely shattered, she mutters that she cannot trust anything anymore. This psycho just laughs and delivers a brutal kick right to the gut, calling him weak, which sends our boy doubling over, the sheer force of the blow rattling his entire body. Standing over him, Grom gloats that any struggle is completely pointless, what a classic villain, but Makoto uses his sword to push himself up, refusing to stay down for the count. He admits to himself that he is weak and cannot possibly compete with this guy. But as his packed stone glows, he clenches his fist with renewed purpose. With a surge of shadow energy, he roars that he absolutely refuses to give up. Watching this sudden display of defiance, Kazane's defeated expression starts to shift. A voice in his head reminds him that giving up here means truly losing everything. In a flashback, he remembers the despair of losing his own parents, a pain he knows all too well. And he recalls telling a younger, broken Kazane that they had to find a path forward as survivors. With tears streaming down his face, he swore they would never, ever give up on living. Back in the present, that memory brings fresh tears to Kazane's eyes as she watches him fight, realizing it was Makoto's strength back then that gave her the will to move on. But that touching memory is interrupted by Grom smashing our boy with a brutal punch, sending him spiraling through the air while the demon mocks his useless fighting spirit. Makoto's hand slams into the dirt, his packed stone giving off a faint, defiant glow, and he struggles back to one knee, using his sword for support, refusing to stay down. As she watches, Kazane remembers that he has always been the most strong-willed person she knows, finally realizing that even with a demon pact, he is still the same Makoto she has always trusted. So she finds her voice again, screaming across the cavern for him not to dare give up. Her voice cuts right through the chaos, and our boy looks back, completely stunned. With total faith restored, she tearfully begs him to do his best, believing he can win. This whole power of friendship display just disgusts Grom, who screams at him to stop looking away, and their blades clash once more in a violent shower of demonic and shadow energy. In that moment, something clicks for Makoto, a sudden, sharp realization hitting him hard. His biggest failure was not being weak, but the fact that he hurt Kazane with his secret. And yet, even after he shattered her trust, she is still here pushing him forward, giving him strength because she chose to believe in him one more time. Fueled by Kazane's faith, Makoto roars that he cannot die, swinging his shadow blade with new purpose. And their weapons collide in a shower of sparks, our boy screaming that he will not fall here. Grom is genuinely shocked, realizing Makoto's speed has suddenly kicked up a notch. A blur of shadow energy tears through the air as Makoto continues his battle cry. His eyes are burning with pure, unyielding determination, the fear completely gone, declaring that they are all going to live and make it out of this cave together. This attack lands, leaving a bloody slash mark not just on the ground but on his target. Makoto digs his heels in, having finally landed a clean hit on the demon. With Renoa and Kazane behind him, he stands his ground, having drawn first blood. A fresh cut bleeds down Grom's cheek, and the psycho just looks intrigued. Watching from the floor, Kazane can only stare in absolute awe at his incredible power. This creep just licks the blood off his face, cackling that this is finally getting amusing. Great. Deciding playtime is officially over, Grom announces it is time to end the fun. He starts charging a swirling orb of pure destruction, calling it a parting gift for the afterlife. Makoto and Renoa are floored, feeling the sheer violent magical pressure radiating from the attack. But then Grom turns to Renoa, offering the fallen angel one last chance to join his side. He even dangles a deal, promising to let her friends go if she just says yes. This demon twists the knife, asking if she really wants to watch her partner die. In response, Makoto just gives a confident little smirk, completely unfazed by the threat, and Renoa mirrors his expression with a subtle smile of her own. They are on the same page. Renoa shuts him down cold, declaring that neither she nor Makoto will ever bow to a demon. Grom's response is simple and to the point. Then die. As he charges up his final attack, he unleashes a massive beam of pure destruction, a move literally called Doom of the Underworld. With no other choice, Renoa shields Makoto with her wings, bracing for the absolute worst. But out of nowhere, a golden blast intercepts the attack, saving them at the last second. Everyone, including Grom, is completely stunned by this sudden, flashy intervention. This new golden power just completely eats Grom's world-ending beam for breakfast, swallowing the demonic energy whole without even breaking a sweat. A hand lands on Makoto's shoulder and he turns to see their mysterious savior. This new guy declares he is here to protect bright futures, prompting Makoto to ask who the hell he is. He introduces himself as Amagi Yugo, casually asking the Magin if he wants to play too. What an entrance. So now we have a classic standoff, with this newcomer standing between our crew and the psycho demon. Makoto recognizes the name and Amagi just tells him to chill out and let the pro handle it. Our boy is just floored by the insane power radiating off him, realizing this is an S-rank hunter. Amagi sizes up Grom, casually noting that he looks pretty strong, for a monster. Then he hits him with the ultimate flex, adding that he is, of course, much stronger. Grom is absolutely livid, his eye twitching with rage at this guy's sheer audacity. Amagi says it is payback time for hurting his junior hunter, his golden aura flaring up, and he summons his own partner, a gorgeous divine spirit, asking if she is ready to go. Unimpressed, Grom just lunges forward, hoping this S-rank hero is not just all talk. Grom's attack gets completely shut down and he is absolutely not having it. So he rushes Amagi with a demonic blade, screaming about how this is not over. only for the S-rank hunter to catch his punch with one hand like it is nothing. Amagi then asks him to please not touch his face. It is a key business asset, you see. With a casual flick of the wrist, he sends the demon flying across the cavern. Grom recovers midair, opening a portal while cursing him out, and he dives right in, trying to set up some kind of surprise attack. But Amagi just casually tosses a golden blade into the portal after him, which immediately spits Grom out right above his head, totally disoriented. Looking up with a smug grin, Amagi says, "Welcome back, the absolute disrespect." Before Grom can even react, Amagi grabs him and slams him straight into the ground. This impact is so huge it shakes the entire cave, a brutal display of power. Standing over him, Amagi mocks him for being confused when things do not go his way. Two of them are now separated on the cavern floor, the power gap obvious. Meanwhile, Makoto is stunned, but Renoa explains that divine spirits are the key to hurting demons. She adds that the sheer amount of power Amagi is using is on a whole other level. This just makes Grom even angrier, charging up a massive ball of demonic energy. He unleashes his ultimate move, a wave of pure absolute darkness. Unfazed, Amagi smirks, preparing his own attack with his spirit partner, the Sky Piercer. And their ultimate techniques collide in a blinding flash of light and shadow. Grom is caught in the blast, his demonic claws reaching out from the explosion, but Amagi just casually snaps his fingers, a golden arc of power sealing the deal. This divine energy shatters Grom's ultimate move like it is a piece of cheap glass, and a spear of light impales the demon, who absolutely shrieks in agony. Makoto and Renoa are just speechless. The S-rank hunter did not even have to move. Amagi then starts taunting him, pointing out the fatal wound and asking if that is all he has got. This pro hunter keeps poking the bear, asking why Grom is not using his real abilities, a classic villain taunt flipped. Completely enraged, Grom charges forward screaming that he is going to kill him, demonic energy flaring. Except he is not alone, a new horned guy with white hair suddenly appears to join the party. This gets Amaga's attention as our heroes watch the situation get way more complicated. Grom is actually furious at his backup, demanding to know why this feigned guy showed up. His new friend calls him an idiot, pointing out that he will die if he keeps using that power while injured. Fane's gaze is intense. He is clearly the brains of this demonic operation. Turning to Amagi, he admits the hunter is strong but warns that a real fight would leave no winners. With a confident smirk, Amagi concedes that Fane looks pretty strong too, a little professional courtesy. Fane calls it a draw and starts the retreat, but Grom is screaming that it is not over yet. With a look of pure exasperation, his partner asks why Grom cannot ever just listen to him. Grom finally relents, gritting his teeth as he agrees to the tactical retreat, and the two demons warp away, leaving Amagi standing there as the undisputed winner of this round. Of course, Grom cannot leave without a parting threat, promising to come back and take everyone's head. With the demons gone, Amagi surveys the absolute mess they left behind in the cavern. This dust finally settles as he turns to our heroes, who are still recovering from the fight. Makoto and Kazane are just completely stunned, trying to process what the hell just happened. Amagi casually asks if the bad guys just bylaid, while Makoto finally finds his voice to thank him. Our boy gives a full formal bow, thanking the S-rank hunter for saving all their asses. This pro hunter just brushes it off, suggesting they have a little chat on the way out. So the whole crew starts the long walk back to the surface, finally safe for the moment. Then Amagi drops a bombshell, asking if Makoto suspected him of having a demon pact from day one. He explains he knew a demon was tailing our boy, so he put two and two together. This guy's sharp. Changing the subject completely, he asks if Makoto and Kazane have patched things up yet. Awkward. Kazane gets all flustered, admitting she realized he is still the same old Makoto deep down. But she is not letting him off the hook that easily as Amagi chugs his drink like it is a sports game. She clarifies that trusting him is a whole different story and Makoto just coldly accepts it. His attention then snaps to Renoa, correctly identifying her as a former spirit with demonic traits. He cryptically welcomes her and Makoto's humanity to the team, which sounds vaguely threatening. Makoto just looks up, a new fire in his eyes, ready for whatever this guy is throwing at him. This girls watch on as the two powerhouses have a silent, intense stare-down. A tiny, almost unreadable smile crosses Amaga's face. He has definitely got an agenda. And Makoto accepts the challenge, his own power flaring up as he agrees to the terms. With a grin, Amagi says he is looking forward to fighting alongside him one day. A partnership is born. Meanwhile, Amagi is on the phone with his boss, casually reporting the demon situation is handled. His boss, some high-ranking chairman, praises him for making the right call out in the field. But Amagi pivots, asking if the chairman remembers a former rank hunter named Himiro Yusei. This chairman recalls him as a notorious criminal who murdered other hunters after getting fired. Turns out this psycho was in custody but just straight up vanished the other day, which is not great. Amagi basically calls his boss out for the screw-up, saying he is too busy to bail him out personally. Instead, he offers to send over data on two promising hunters to help clean up the mess. His boss just agrees to check the files later and hangs up the phone. With the call over, the chairman finally turns to the person who has been waiting in his office. A serious-looking kid with blue hair is sitting there, ready for his debriefing. And get this, he is Yusugi Aoji, the former disciple of that same criminal they were just discussing. He's got a personal stake in this, vowing to stop his old master's rampage himself. This kicks off a flashback to his training days with Himiro, overlooking the city at sunset. Back then, a younger Yusugi was all about being the perfect, by-the-book hunter. His master, however, just calls him a boring stick in the mud for being so stiff. He gets right in the kid's face, telling him he needs to actually enjoy the job for once. But Yusugi is having none of it, insisting that duty comes first, not personal enjoyment. Himiro just tells him to drop the formal speech, trying to get him to relax for a second. His master's philosophy is simple: killing demons makes you a hero, but all the rules are a drag, and he leaves him with some cryptic advice: follow your ideals, but never become a corporate stooge for the association. In the flashback, Yusugi tells his master he will never be like him, which gets him called cheeky for his trouble. Cutting back to the present, we get a peaceful scene at a lakeside park, where Makoto and Kazane are out for a morning jog together. She asks if he went to a flower shop, and he confirms it was for Renoa, who likes that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, Renoa watches from a bench, wondering how many laps these two lunatics are planning to run. Kazane keeps probing, asking what else Renoa is into besides flowers, but Makoto just dodges, telling her she'd have to ask Renoa herself. He glances at the gem on his hand, giving a cold and unhelpful answer to her question. This ticks Kazane off, who reminds him they are supposed to be on the same team now. From her bench, Renoa mentally calls her out for being the one who did not trust him in the first place. And just as Renoa wishes they'd get along, Kazane just tells Makoto to shut up, teamwork is thriving. His face falls as some nearby people start talking about something they saw on the news. Apparently a hunter who is also a criminal just escaped from prison, which has everyone on edge. Makoto brings this up, and Kazane recognizes the name Himiro Yusei as a skilled former rank hunter. She wonders why someone so powerful would commit such awful crimes, as we see a glimpse of his bloody work. Right on cue, Makoto's phone starts buzzing in his pocket. He pulls it out to see an email from the association, and Kazane got one too. It is an emergency summons, calling both of them in for a mission immediately. Turns out it is a personal recommendation from Amagi, so they decide to head over right away. Their destination is the Hunter Association headquarters, walking straight into their next big problem. At Association HQ, they are greeted by a suit from the Abnormal Measures Division, which sounds super reassuring. He explains that on Amaga's recommendation, they are being assigned to hunt the fugitive Himiro Yusei. While the regular cops are on it, the association needs its own hunters to handle the situation. Their best lead suggests the target is hiding in the nearest gate from his escape point. So their official mission is to investigate a C-rank gate, and he asks if they have any questions. Makoto immediately points out they are going up against a former ranker, which seems a little unbalanced. But the suit says not to worry, they have requested backup from another rank hunter. And right on cue, their high-level support makes a dramatic entrance into the room. Kazane is completely stunned, recognizing the newcomer and shouting his name. Yusugi. It is Yusugi Aoji, the blue-haired kid from the chairman's office, who greets Kazane like an old friend. With the team now assembled, the suit bows out, leaving them with the mission files on the table. 3 tablets sit there, one for each of them, containing all the grim details. Kazane awkwardly notes it has been a while since they cleared a gate together, and Yusugi just agrees. Meanwhile, Makoto is internally geeking out, realizing he is about to work with the genius of their generation. Our boy tries to be friendly, formally introducing himself and offering a handshake for team spirit. But Yusugi introduces himself by dropping a bombshell. He is the former disciple of the guy they are hunting. He then immediately cuts off any chance of friendship, getting straight to the point. This guy flat out tells them he has absolutely no intention of teaming up with them. Kazane is completely floored, asking why he will not cooperate, but he is already turning his back on them. He glances back just to say they'd be a hindrance and he does not need their help. What a great start. Yusugi flatly states this is his personal responsibility, so he is hunting his old master alone, but Kazane immediately jumps up, trying to stop him from just walking out on the mission. Makoto steps in too, arguing that it is obviously better if all 3 of them work together. Without even turning around, Yusugi just repeats that they'd only be a hindrance to him. So our boy tries a different tactic, offering to handle the gate's demons so Yusugi can search. He points out that this is just way more efficient than the whole lone wolf act, and that logic actually seems to get through as Yusugi pauses for a moment. Makoto presses his advantage, pulling the "it is our duty as hunters" card with Kazane backing him up. With a sigh, Yusugi finally relents, telling them to do whatever they want, a real team player. He then adds that he will be doing his own thing anyway, completely undermining the whole point. Kazane just tells Makoto they should follow him for now and figure out the details later. This scene then cuts to a creepy, rundown building at night, which is never a good sign. A "do not enter" sign lies broken on the ground, basically a welcome mat for bad decisions. Inside, a trio of local idiots are exploring with flashlights, planning to make it their new turf. These guys are just amazed at how big the place is, totally unaware they are in a horror movie opening. One of them shines his light into a dark classroom, wondering what is inside, and the beam reveals a massive, spiky crystal formation that definitely was not in the school brochure. They quickly realize it is a gate, but it is completely frozen over for some reason. Their brilliant plan to claim the building instantly dies as they panic and decide to call the association. But as one of them turns to leave, he sees someone else is in the room with them, and he looks terrified. This last of the trespassers gets flash frozen solid by a sudden blast of ice. His flashlight clatters to the floor as the life drains out of him. Standing over the icy remains is the fugitive himself, Himiro Yusei. A close-up reveals the poor guy's terrified face cracking within the crystal, and with a casual wave, Himiro shatters the frozen bodies into a million pieces. He then complains about the mess, saying he needs to hide better next time, priorities, you know. Kneeling before the gate, he justifies his actions, muttering that he is not wrong. This is Himiro Yusei, and his first order of business is getting revenge on the Hunter Association. Meanwhile, our heroes step into the lush, creepy forest of the C-rank gate. Yusugi immediately reminds them he is on a solo mission despite them literally walking together, but Makoto stops him, saying there is something important he needs to confess first. He decides to come clean about Renoa since they are supposed to be a team, only for Yusugi to reveal Amagi already gave him the full scoop on the demon contract. Makoto is shocked, asking if Yusugi is going to judge him for it, but the genius hunter just says a demon pact is not evil unless you do evil things. Our boy is just floored by this unexpectedly reasonable point of view. Kazane even backs him up, telling Yusugi that Makoto is a good guy deep down. Yusugi just walks on, completely unfazed by this touching team-building exercise, leaving Makoto genuinely moved that someone understands his situation without freaking out. Their little chat ends as they arrive at the entrance to some kind of ancient temple within the gate. Inside the temple, they come face to face with the C-rank dungeon boss, a massive white spider. This thing looks seriously tough, and they know it is not going down without a fight. It immediately lashes out with a vicious attack, forcing Makoto and Kazane on the defensive. But before they can even react, Yusugi steps forward, his hand glowing with icy power, and in a single move he completely encases the giant spider in a tomb of jagged ice. Both Makoto and Kazane are just speechless, witnessing the insane power of an A-rank hunter. After shattering the frozen monster, Yusugi asks how much longer they are going to waste time on weaklings. This guy is just standing there with his advanced spirit, Yuki, looking completely unimpressed. He then casually informs them that his search for Himiro in this area is officially over. With no clues to be found, he sees no reason to stick around in the now empty boss room. Makoto is still reeling from the one-shot kill when he realizes Yusugi is already walking off alone again. Kazane mutters about how self-centered he is, then turns to see Makoto looking pretty pleased with himself. Turns out our boy awakened a brand new ability during that whole one-sided smackdown. He explains his new skill, Residual Shadow Sense, which can detect traces of a target's shadow. That little reveal actually makes Yusugi stop and turn around, a flicker of surprise on his face. Makoto adds that it can track anyone who has been in the area within the last 24 hours, perfect for this mission. He runs up to Yusugi, saying this new power might be exactly what they need to find Himiro. So he asks the genius hunter if there is any place nearby that would be important to his former master. Yusugi actually gives him a straight answer, mentioning a hill near the gate where they used to talk. With a real lead to follow, he turns to leave, and this time the other two are right behind him. Makoto and Kazane try to decode Yusugi's silent treatment, which Renoa mentally labels so unfriendly. They arrive at the spot Yusugi mentioned, a scenic overlook with a view of the entire city. Standing on the stone wall, Yusugi looks out, clearly lost in thought about this place. He reflects on how he never wanted to return here after his master's betrayal. Our boy puts it together, realizing this is a place loaded with memories for both of them. Yusugi, with zero patience, just tells Makoto to get on with it and use his new tracking skill. Makoto obliges, activating his residual shadow sense with a seriously cool purple glow. Dark, inky footprints materialize on the ground, revealing a path left behind by someone. His power expands in a massive purple grid, scanning the entire area for traces, and with his eyes glowing, he confirms that someone was definitely here very recently. His ability reveals the faint shadow of a single person, though he cannot identify them yet. Reaching out, he begins to analyze the shadow's unique characteristics to get a lock on them. This shadow then coalesces into the form of Himiro Yusei, standing right where Yusugi is. In a stunning display, the image of Himiro is reflected in Yusugi's own eye. Yusugi confirms he sees it, realizing his former master actually returned to their old spot. This just leaves him wondering what in the world Himiro was thinking coming back here. A flashback takes us to a younger Yusugi asking his mentor why they always come to this place. Himiro just laughs it off, saying it is his personal spot to unwind and clear his head. He explains that looking out at the city makes him feel free and helps him shake off his doubts. With a friendly smack, he tells his young student to make sure he does not live a boring life either. His master's words echo, something about not living a boring, bound life or whatever. Yusugi clenches his fist, admitting he learned a lot from the very man he is now hunting. Makoto tries to check on him, but Yusugi just deflects, saying it is time to get moving. Our boy, feeling his new power, confidently announces he has pinpointed Himiro's current location. With a solid lead, the trio finally starts moving like an actual team, Yusugi leading the way. This genius hunter is still trying to figure out his old master's endgame for returning to this spot. Meanwhile, back at Association HQ, things are about to get real hectic. Inside the gate management department, a lone operator stares at a wall of monitors. This researcher with the glasses gets a sudden bad feeling, sensing something is deeply wrong. Her eyes go wide as a critical piece of information clicks into place. Oh no. She absolutely loses it, screaming at her coworker to get her on the internal comms system now. Flipping on her headset, she prepares to sound the city-wide alarm. An official announcement from gate management starts blaring over the network. And she is screaming that there is a risk of a gate break, ordering all hunters to mobilize immediately. Just as this chaos erupts, our heroes are already sprinting through the woods. Three of them are booking it, finally on the same page for once. but their hunt gets interrupted by a phone buzzing with an emergency alert. They all skid to a halt as Kazane recognizes the signal from the association. It is a new mission, an unknown gate has appeared and needs an immediate investigation. Makoto is completely baffled because he knows it is supposed to take a full week for a gate to destabilize. Kazane says a gate break could happen any second, but Makoto worries they will lose Himiro's trail. A sudden, chilling realization dawns on Yusugi as all the pieces finally click into place. In a flashback, Himiro explains a personal habit he uses to push past any hesitation, a very ominous detail right now. Makoto's eyes go wide as he connects the emergency alert to his old master's insane plan. Yusugi grabs him, shouting that a gate break is Himiro's goal and they need to move now. Shaken but focused, our boy quickly agrees, ready to lead the way. His shadow sense kicks in, giving him a clear vision of the target, an old abandoned school building. Pointing with glowing eyes, he yells that Himiro's shadow is heading straight for that school. With a grim look, Yusugi confirms that is where they will find his former master. They arrive just in time to see a colossal pillar of dark energy erupting from the roof, so much for a stealth mission. All three of them just stare in horror as the ground cracks under the sheer demonic pressure. This swirling vortex of purple energy begins to coalesce into something truly monstrous. Makoto recognizes this terrifying phenomenon, his face pale with dread. For Kazane, this sight triggers a horrible memory she says she will never forget. It is a flashback to her past trauma, seeing a loved one down as a shadowy person stands over them. This memory includes a terrifying monster attack from a previous gate break that clearly scarred her for life. Back in the present, Makoto's hand glows as he taps into Renoa's power, preparing for the worst. Kazane pushes past her fear, her own spirit energy flaring up around her in a brilliant green light. She takes a stand, declaring they have to stop whatever is coming out of that gate, no matter the cost. And right on cue, a blinding flash of light explodes from the building as the gate break begins. This gate break unleashes a tidal wave of demonic monsters, with our trio standing as the only thing in their way. Makoto immediately takes charge, yelling that they have to stop the invasion before it spills into the city. Kazane agrees, slicing through a beast while shouting that they just need to hold on until reinforcements arrive. Yusugi, meanwhile, is surrounded by giant demonic wolves and looks more annoyed than threatened. His hand glows with icy power as he basically tells the monsters to get lost permanently. A massive wall of jagged ice erupts from the ground, instantly freezing the entire front line solid. Makoto has to jump back, completely shocked by the sheer scale of Yusugi's casual crowd control. He can only shout his teammate's name as the guy literally walks over his own ice sculpture to get ahead. This leaves our boy to get smacked around, struggling to block an attack while Mr. A-Rank plays solo. Renoa mentally complains that Yusugi is going rogue again because of course he is. At least Kazane is pulling her weight, locked in a fierce aerial duel with a nasty winged demon. But the problem is the horde just keeps coming, a seemingly endless wave of fangs and claws. Makoto is already exhausted, admitting to himself that he is about to hit his limit. Right on cue, a massive fireball streaks across the battlefield. The cavalry has arrived. It slams into the monster ranks with explosive force, giving our heroes a much-needed opening. A whole squad of hunters shows up, telling a stunned Makoto that they are joining the fight. Our boy is just floored by the sheer number of hunters who answered the emergency call. Fired up, he decides he has to pull his own weight and dives back into the fray with renewed purpose. But two of the new guys immediately notice he has no mana, calling him out as a wannabe hunter. He realizes they will get suspicious if he keeps fighting, but with monsters charging, his options are limited. While Makoto's getting heckled, Kazane unleashes a massive green tornado, just shredding monsters. This attack carves a path right through the demonic army as she yells for Makoto. She tells him to leave the mob to her and go catch up with their rank liability, Yusugi. Makoto gives her a grateful look, ready to book it while she holds the line. Sprinting through the school, he dodges a giant snake monster that lunges from the shadows. With his staff ready, he figures the source of the gate has to be just up ahead. Meanwhile, Yusugi is already there, casually shattering some giant ice-encased beast like it is nothing. Makoto finally catches up to find Yusugi standing in a room full of ice shards and no Himiro. This kid is just floored, realizing Yusugi already one-shotted the gate's boss all by himself. Yusugi just coldly states that their target, Himiro, has already escaped the area. Then he declares that stopping this gate break was completely pointless in the end. In his mind, Himiro will just pull the same stunt somewhere else, making this a total waste. But Makoto suddenly speaks up, insisting that it is not pointless at all. That sets Yusugi off, who grabs him by the collar, demanding to know what he could possibly understand. With his eyes glowing purple, Makoto reminds him about that little tracking ability he has. Yusugi is visibly shocked as Makoto tells him it is way too early to give up. Our boy explains that since Yusugi cleared the boss, they can now track Himiro's shadow trail. Grabbing his arm, he yells that they have to move before the trail goes cold. Without waiting for an answer, our boy just turns and starts running, leading the way. And Yusugi for the first time lets himself be led, a flicker of hope on his face. Yusugi actually apologizes, reaching out to the kid in a moment of genuine trust. He even thanks Makoto by his real name, Asuka, as they finally start moving as one. Our boy just grins, telling him to save the gratitude for after they have won this thing. For the first time, a small, genuine smile appears on Yusugi's face. He is on board. With Makoto leading the way, they follow the shadow trail, ready to end this chase for good. Their path leads them to a sleek modern building under the moonlight, the next target. Makoto points, confirming Himiro is heading inside the one place that houses the association's main system. This kid immediately gets it. If that system goes down, the entire city's gate management collapses. They find the entrance already busted open, with jagged ice crystals scattered all over the place. Stepping inside, the floor is covered in the chilling evidence of a very one-sided fight. This hallway is a frozen nightmare, with security hunters and staff encased in solid ice. Makoto is horrified, realizing they were too late to save anyone here. But Yusugi does not even hesitate, sprinting past the frozen bodies without a word. Priorities, I guess. A close-up on a frozen guard shows just how ruthless the attacker was. This entire corridor has been turned into a frozen tomb, leading deeper into the facility. At the end of the hall, Himiro stands before the glowing core of the association's system. He is left a little present, a beeping bomb set to bring the whole organization down. Yusugi immediately launches a volley of deadly ice shards right at his old master. No monologue, just violence. Himiro just glances back, looking completely unbothered by the incoming attack. And then he summons his own massive ice wall, revealing he has the exact same powers as his student. Yusugi confronts his old master, absolutely furious as his own ice shards begin to fly. Himiro, meanwhile, is just gloating that his little terrorism plot is going perfectly. With a seriously punchable smirk, he warns his former student to stay out of his way. These two ice users are now locked in a standoff, a massive crystal wall separating them. Makoto finally catches up, screaming Yusugi's name as he runs into the middle of their family drama. But Yusugi is laser-focused, declaring that this is where his master's crimes finally end. His old master just smirks back, basically daring him to try something. This guy loves the theatrics. And then he summons a colossal ice pillar, aimed right at the third wheel in this reunion. Makoto is completely blindsided, barely managing to dive out of the way of the sudden attack. Himiro explains he is just clearing the room so they can have their reunion without any interruptions. Pinned against the newly formed ice, Makoto is furious at being sidelined so easily. Himiro turns back to Yusugi, twisting the knife by asking if he is really got the guts to kill him. Yusugi's face hardens, admitting that he cannot afford to show any mercy this time around. His old master just scoffs, noting that his student is still as predictably serious as ever. Then Himiro flexes by summoning his own high-ranked divine spirit, demanding a real fight. Not to be outdone, Yusugi summons his own spirit, ready for a proper power-up battle. Himiro reveals the bomb's detonator, laying out the win conditions: beat him and destroy the device. Realizing he is on a timer, Yusugi knows that waiting for backup is a guaranteed death sentence. With his spirit at his side, he prepares to unleash a massive barrage of ice. It is all or nothing. His eyes narrow with cold resolve, understanding he has to end this fight right here, right now. Yusugi dodges a forest of ice spikes erupting from the floor. Talk about a hostile reunion. Himiro condescendingly admits his student has improved, his spirit floating there like a backup singer. But then he unleashes his own insane barrage of ice, basically saying, "Cute trick, kid." The sheer scale of the counterattack completely stuns Yusugi, who clearly was not expecting this. His own ice shards get absolutely shattered by his master's superior volley, not even a contest. A massive ice wave slams into him, sending him crashing to the floor in a brutal takedown. Yusugi realizes that in a straight-up power clash, he is completely and utterly outmatched. So he switches tactics, forming two ice swords for some up-close and personal payback. Himiro just smirks, asking who he thinks taught him that move in the first place. He taunts Yusugi by name, rubbing in the fact that he knows every trick his student has. Gritting his teeth, Yusugi prepares to charge, dual-wielding his freshly made ice blades. Then he does something unexpected, hurling one of his swords like a deadly projectile. Himiro is actually surprised, questioning why his student would just throw a weapon away. Thinking he has got it figured out, he dodges, assuming Yusugi just gave up his dual-wielding advantage. His master now believes he only needs to watch Yusugi's left side as the kid rushes in. With a look of pure confidence, Himiro prepares to counter the now one-handed attack. Yusugi closes the distance, swinging his remaining sword in a powerful arc to draw his master's eye. But Himiro's face drops as he realizes Yusugi already created a new sword in his other hand. It was a setup. This feint works perfectly, letting Yusugi land a clean, vicious slash right across his master's chest. Himiro stumbles back, more annoyed than hurt, as Yusugi proves he has learned a few new tricks on his own. Yusugi's feint pays off beautifully, landing a vicious slash with blinding speed. His old master is actually impressed, admitting the attack was faster than his ice could regenerate. In fact, Himiro is grinning, praising his student for finally showing some real killer instinct. Yusugi just coldly tells him he is not the same person he once knew. The edgy glow-up is real. For a brief moment, he lets himself believe his plan is working, that he can actually win this. But Himiro warns him not to get cocky because he is about to unveil a brand new skill. Suddenly, a massive black hammer smashes through the ice wall that was pinning Makoto. Our boy is back in the game, complaining about how ridiculously tough that ice was to break. Yusugi looks back, completely stunned to see his teammate has freed himself from the trap. As the ice shatters, Himiro just casually prepares his next big party trick. He creates a perfect ice clone of himself, an alter ego, instantly making this a 2-on-1 fight. Yusugi scoffs at the move, convinced a simple doll cannot possibly be a real threat. Without a moment's hesitation, he charges straight at the newly formed ice clone. Their blades clash, and he immediately realizes the clone is just as fast and strong as the original. This sheer force of the clone's block sends him stumbling backward, completely caught off guard. Himiro explains his creation moves just like him, even if it cannot use any special skills. Now Yusugi is just furious, realizing how much power his master poured into this cheap trick. Himiro taunts him about being all alone now, rubbing in the two-on-one disadvantage. Meanwhile, Makoto is ignoring the clone fight, remembering he needs to hurry for a different reason. His eyes are locked on the ticking bomb, the actual objective of this whole mess. Yusugi immediately engages the ice clone, their frozen blades clashing in a furious exchange. But the clone's strength is overwhelming, stopping his attack cold in a brutal deadlock. Himiro's voice mocks him for being sloppy as the clone lands a vicious slash across his back. This sheer force of the blow sends Yusugi flying across the floor, completely outmatched. Before he can even get up, the real Himiro launches a massive volley of ice shards from above. This absolute storm of ice just rains down, giving Yusugi absolutely no room to breathe. His old master just smirks, enjoying the show and commenting on how lively he is, total psycho. Beaten and broken, Yusugi finally realizes the gap in their power is just impossibly huge. All he can do is grit his teeth in despair, asking why this is happening. He demands to know why someone with so much talent would choose to commit such evil. But Himiro just denies it, telling his former student that he has got it all wrong. He claims he is just being honest with himself now and that this is who he has always been. In his mind, the world is just too restricted by the association's rules and regulations. So he ignored them, got terminated for it, and sees absolutely nothing wrong with his methods. Yusugi screams back that his methods include straight-up murdering people. Himiro's justification is chilling. He compares the hunters to dogs you would not care about killing. This completely twisted logic leaves Yusugi speechless, clutching his wound in horror. Meanwhile, Makoto is still over by the bomb, looking like he is about to have a panic attack. Himiro continues his grand speech about how the association is doomed to collapse. With a crazed look, he declares this is his revenge to finally set all hunters free. Yusugi is having absolutely none of this villain monologue, screaming that it is all bullshit. But Himiro just notes how much his student has changed, gripping his own ice blade. This ice clone looms over Yusugi as his master vows he will not be stopped. With a fresh burst of resolve, Yusugi declares that as his disciple it is his duty to end this. Himiro just scoffs, telling him to keep barking while pointing down at the floor, because he has already trapped his student's feet in a cage of jagged ice. Yusugi is completely stunned, having no idea when his master even set the trap. He is totally immobilized, sweating as he realizes he is a sitting duck. This clone raises its sword for the final blow, bidding its original student a cold farewell. In the reflection of Yusugi's eye, we see the attack coming in for the kill. And then out of nowhere, a massive shadow hammer just obliterates the ice clone. Himiro actually looks a little surprised, his grand finale officially interrupted. Makoto's hammer smashes down, shattering the clone and saving Yusugi at the very last second. Our boy stands over the icy remains, telling the villain to cut the nonsense. He calls Himiro out by his full name, looking absolutely ready to throw down. This clone gets reduced to nothing but ice dust, a very satisfying visual. Makoto stands beside a shocked Yusugi, calling him by his real name, Asuka. He gives a confident thumbs up, assuring his partner he knows exactly how to break this ice. It dawns on Yusugi that Makoto spent all that time just hammering away at a wall to save him. And for the second time today, a genuine, grateful smile appears on his face. Himiro scoffs at Makoto's big talk, basically asking if he is serious about breaking his ice. Then he summons a brand new clone, calling our boy trash with that same punchable smirk. Makoto and Yusugi stand back to back, officially ready for the 2-on-2 team battle. For a second, Himiro actually looks concerned, admitting this new guy might be a problem. Makoto decides to ignore the clone and go straight for the main boss, but Yusugi immediately intercepts him, blocking his path to the villain. He declares with cold fury that defeating his old master is his responsibility alone. Himiro just grits his teeth, clearly not enjoying this little display of defiance. So he orders his alter ego to kill Makoto, splitting them up to regain control. This clone and Makoto immediately clash in a dizzying flurry of attacks. Our boy notes the clone is undeniably strong, but he seems to have a plan, and then he taps into that dark berserker energy, a sinister grin spreading across his face. With a quiet of course, he confirms he knows exactly how to deal with this thing. Meanwhile, Himiro is busy with Yusugi, thinking Makoto is the one getting overwhelmed. He pins his former student down, taunting him about how his friend is about to die. This guy is absolutely convinced that Makoto stands zero chance against his perfect creation. This clone raises its blade for the final blow against a kneeling Makoto, only for its entire arm to get absolutely shattered by a single brutal counterswing. Himiro's jaw just drops in disbelief, his no way face is priceless. Even Yusugi is stunned, realizing his partner just handled that impossible threat like it was nothing. Makoto stands over the shattered clone, his dark energy scythe just screaming, "I am the main character now." He coldly states the ice doll was nothing compared to the actual demon he is contracted with. This makes everything click for Yusugi, who finally understands where his partner's insane power comes from. And Himiro connects the dots, accusing Makoto of making a pact with a demon took him long enough. Makoto's response is a legendary "so what?" before offering some advice of his own. This villain tries to get in his head, questioning if he can really live as a hunter with that secret. For just a second, the taunt seems to land as our boy actually looks a little rattled. Himiro sees an opening and launches into his big recruitment speech about changing the unfair world. A tense silence hangs in the air as Makoto just lets the guy talk. Then he points his scythe right back, declaring Himiro is the only evil that needs slaying today. That rejection clearly stings, because Himiro is now radiating pure murderous intent. He asks if the brats are really in that much of a hurry to die, his patience officially gone. With a furious stomp, he unleashes his power across the floor, kicking off the real fight. Yusugi immediately clashes with him, their ice blades creating a storm of energy. But as they fight, Yusugi realizes Makoto did not even use his full power against the clone. This kid was sandbagging the entire time, a fact that even seems to surprise Himiro. Their attacks collide in a massive explosion of light and razor-sharp ice. It is now a chaotic three-way battle, with everyone finally going all out. Makoto intercepts a direct strike from Himiro, blocking the massive ice blade with his scythe. But the sheer force sends him skidding backward, a grim reminder of how strong the real deal is. Makoto grits his teeth, realizing the real Himiro's fighting style is worlds apart from the clones. Then a sudden flash of insight hits him as a new, desperate strategy begins to form. He immediately unleashes Shadow Search, his demonic power flaring to life. Through this new skill, he can suddenly see ghostly afterimages of Himiro's every movement. These purple trails perfectly map out the villain's attack patterns, giving him a massive advantage. Our boy knows this vision is the key, but he needs to get this intel to Yusugi fast. His demon contractor helpfully suggests a quick mana transfer to share the site. Problem solved. A surge of dark energy suddenly envelops Yusugi's eyes, catching him completely off guard. In a flash, his vision is enhanced with the same shadowy power as his partner's. Now he can see the afterimages too, finally able to predict his master's next move. With this newfound foresight, Yusugi easily ducks under a slash that would have taken him out. Himiro is visibly confused, his perfectly aimed strike hitting nothing but air. This opening allows Yusugi to close the distance, parrying his master's blade with precision. Together, the two of them are fighting in perfect sync, countering every single attack. This villain is just stunned, wondering how his student is suddenly reading him like a book. Even with the buff, Himiro's raw power is still immense, forcing Yusugi back on the defensive. His old master starts gathering a terrifying amount of energy in his hand. He is done playing. With a furious glare, he warns the brats not to get carried away. Yusugi instantly recognizes the stance, realizing Himiro is about to unleash a massive, all-out attack. And with a classic villain grin, Himiro announces he is ending this with his ultimate move, because of course he is. Yusugi screams that they are not just gonna stand by and let that happen. With a single stomp, Himiro unleashes a terrifying wave of icy power, and he summons a literal ice dragon because why not go completely over the top? This colossal beast of ice and frost looms over them, a vision of pure destruction. From its jaws erupts a massive beam of concentrated cold energy. This attack is a roaring torrent of absolute zero, designed to end everything. Its sheer scale is just insane, a true game-over move meant to wipe the slate clean, except it does not hit our heroes, it completely freezes the bomb solid instead. This entire area is now a frozen wasteland after that one attack, and Himiro stands there smirking as he declares the fight is finally over. But then a foot steps forward, surrounded by that telltale purple aura. Turns out their shared vision confirmed Himiro would not move from that spot, a fatal mistake. In an instant, both Yusugi and Makoto are flanking him, blades ready for the kill. This villain is completely stunned, having no clue how they just teleported on him, and together they land a brutal cross-slash, tearing right through his defenses. Their combined strike not only wounds him but also shatters a device on his coat. Himiro just chokes, the reality of his defeat finally hitting him hard. Yet instead of letting him collapse, Yusugi catches his old master in his arms. Blood pools on the icy floor in the heavy silence that follows. A flashback reveals Himiro once told him he admired his freedom, something he never had himself. Yusugi tells his fallen master that he simply chose the wrong path. With a heavy heart, he declares that this is finally the end for Himiro. Makoto watches on, reflecting that no human can ever avoid making mistakes, and that even a powerful hunter like Himiro is not immune to failure. But despite that empathy, Makoto clenches his fist with renewed purpose. He reaffirms his own path alongside Renoa, vowing to do what he believes is right. This battle is finally over, leaving the building silent under the moonlight. News of the incident at the Gatebreak Center is already spreading online, and Makoto knows the association will be there any minute to take Himiro into custody. Yusugi sits with his defeated master, admitting he could not have won this fight alone. He tells Makoto that without his help, the battle would have ended in his loss. In a rare moment of vulnerability, he formally thanks Makoto, saying he owes him big time. Our boy just grins, shaking his hand and joking about being thanked twice today, bromance achieved. A short while later, the official cleanup crew finally arrives on the scene. Two agents in suits haul the defeated Himiro away, looking very professional. Their leader salutes our heroes, formally thanking them for their service. Makoto figures their work is done and suggests they should head back home. But then someone grabs him from behind, and it is definitely not a friendly pat on the back. A woman calls him by his full name, catching him completely off guard. and she informs him he is under suspicion for demon involvement, so much for a quiet exit. A new guy in a suit adjusts his glasses, telling Makoto he is coming with them non-negotiable. Next thing you know, they are at some sterile, high-tech Hunter Association headquarters, and our boy is immediately slapped into a pair of glowing, magic-suppressing cuffs. Two agents then march him down a long hallway like he is public enemy number one. He asks where they are going and gets the super reassuring answer that they are off to decide his fate. Makoto knew this was coming, realizing that unleashing his demon powers was never going to stay a secret. One of the suits gestures to a door, telling him to mind his manners, which is just rich. Despite the cuffs and the escort, the kid walks in with his head held high. Inside, a whole council of serious-looking high-rankers are waiting for him at a massive table. A surprisingly casual blonde dude gives a little wave, introducing himself as Chairman Amagi. This guy who arrested him is there too, along with someone who looks like he just left a goth rock concert. With Makoto standing before them, the official conference on his abnormal situation begins. A holographic table lights up, replaying scenes from his fight against Himiro for everyone to see. They get straight to the point. This entire meeting is about his suspected demon contract. This division chief, Niyama Renji, says they will be evaluating him, which sounds super fun. His reflection appears in Renji's glasses as the chief calls him out by his full name. Then he drops the million-dollar question: does he actually have a contract with a demon? Our boy knows they are not asking for fun, realizing that lying right now would be a terrible idea, so he just admits it is true and calls Renoa out to make the introduction official. And just like that, Renoa appears in all her winged glory, confirming everyone's worst fears. This entire council just stares, their brains short-circuiting at the sight of a humanoid demon. That goth-looking hunter immediately flares with red energy, recognizing her as a top-tier demon. Without a second thought, he powers up an attack, vowing to erase her right then and there. Makoto completely panics because the guy is about to open fire in a conference room, and he actually lets it rip, no hesitation whatsoever, so much for due process. His blast is suddenly intercepted by a glowing golden shield that just pops into existence. It was the chairman, Amagi, who casually flicked his finger and stopped the S-Rank's attack cold. He then calmly tells the hothead Tsubasa to take a breath since the meeting literally just started. Tsubasa is not having it, calling discussion pointless and even threatening the chairman himself. Completely unfazed, Amagi just tells Makoto to go ahead and start his explanation. Makoto clarifies that Renoa is not your average demon but a fallen divine spirit. This new information just leaves the other high-rankers totally baffled, as it is unheard of. But the story seems to ring a bell for Amagi, who recalls a vision of a divine being. So he summons his own spirit Nova, asking her to confirm the story for everyone. And she does, explaining she'd heard rumors in the divine world about an angel who fell. With his point now backed up, Amagi thanks his spirit, looking incredibly smug about it. He then turns to the council, basically asking if they are done being wrong yet. Tsubasa, however, insists it does not matter, a demon is a demon and their job is to kill them. This guy in the suit, Renji, then takes over the questioning, demanding to know how she fell. That question clearly hits a nerve as both Makoto and Renoa's expressions turn grim. Renoa completely stonewalls them, saying she cannot answer how she fell, talk about a dead end. Tsubasa immediately slams his fist down because "I cannot tell you" is not an acceptable answer. This guy goes on a tirade, arguing they cannot just believe her since any demon is a security risk. Of course, Makoto jumps to her defense, insisting that Renoa is not a threat. But Renji, the suit and glasses guy, just calmly asks if he can guarantee that, which of course he cannot. And Makoto is left totally speechless, completely cornered by the question. His mind races, trying to find a way to persuade this council of stone-cold hunters. This kid starts sweating, knowing this whole interrogation is going south fast. But then a new person makes a very flowery entrance, interrupting the tension. A woman with pink hair just waltzes in, apologizing for being late to this high-stakes tribunal. Apparently, she overslept because her bed was too comfy, a true professional this one. Renji immediately scolds her, reminding Himiro that punctuality applies to everyone, even S-ranks. She just tells him to complain to the bed and asks what the big topic is today. This chairman happily points out they are deciding what to do with our boy, the demon contractor. Instead of commenting, she asks a curveball question: who are the two people waiting outside? That question catches everyone completely off guard, especially Renji and Tsubasa. Chairman Amagi, however, just grins, thanking her for giving him the perfect opening. He then calmly tells the two people outside to come on in. And in walk two more hunters, a dude in a blue uniform and a green-haired woman looking intense. This rest of the council just stares, realizing this trial just got a lot more crowded. Yusugi and the green-haired woman, Kazane, are just as surprised to see each other here. Renji immediately questions letting outsiders in, but the chairman just says they are involved. Another high ranker with a magnificent beard stays silent, just taking it all in. He then agrees to let them speak since their testimony is clearly relevant to the case. And just like that, Makoto's got a whole squad backing him up, looking ready for anything. Our boy starts to panic, realizing his friends are putting their own necks on the line for him. Yusugi steps up first, admitting he would have lost to Himiro without Makoto and Renoa's help. With a clenched fist, he makes it clear he is standing his ground on this. Kazane backs him up, testifying that Renoa helped them fight a powerful demon before. She then formally pleads with the council to take their words into consideration. In a show of solidarity, all three of them bow, asking the council to just believe in them. Makoto is just floored seeing his new friends go to bat for him like this. Even Renji has to admit that for a known demon hater like Kazane, this is a huge deal. Amagi argues this is proof Renoa is not a threat even if the future is a bit of a question mark. Then he drops the bomb, proposing that Makoto and Renoa might have the potential to save the world, no pressure. Tsubasa calls that idealistic nonsense, but Amagi counters that it is their job to manage the risk. Putting his money where his mouth is, the chairman declares he will take full responsibility for whatever happens. This leaves Tsubasa absolutely fuming and Makoto completely stunned by the vote of confidence. Amagi lays out his choice. Forget annihilation, he is betting everything on their potential. To punctuate his point, the magic-suppressing cuffs on Makoto's wrists just shatter into light. Makoto is filled with resolve, refusing to let his friends and Amagi's efforts be for nothing. This bearded high-ranker clenches his fist, deciding it is time to settle this matter. He puts it to a vote, asking anyone who supports disciplinary action to raise their hand. Tsubasa's hand shoots up instantly because of course it does, the guy has one setting. Renji calmly raises his hand too, joining the Let Us Punish the Teenager club. Amagi and Himiro, however, just chill with their arms crossed, looking thoroughly unimpressed. This lack of enthusiasm sends Tsubasa into a rage, while Himiro just gushes about friendship. He then demands a decision from the chairman, clearly at the end of his very short rope. But the bearded man who seems to be running this show takes a long, thoughtful pause. His intense gaze shows he is not about to be swayed by a simple majority vote. Our heroes can only watch nervously as their fate hangs in the balance. Before casting his vote, the old hunter holds up a hand, delaying the verdict. He wants to hear their intentions straight from the source before making his choice. Turning to Renoa, he asks why a demon would ever make a contract with a human. Renoa's expression grows somber as she prepares to answer the loaded question. She then takes a confident step forward, ready to face the council's scrutiny. Her answer is simple and direct. She just wanted to help Makoto when he was suffering. With fire in her eyes, she declares that demons are her enemies too and she will fight them with him. After hearing her side, the old man turns to Makoto, asking if he has anything to add. This two of them stand together, a united front ready for the final interrogation. Makoto starts his big dramatic speech saying he does not want to let anyone else suffer a tragic fate, flashing back to a painful memory. He remembers all the people who died unfairly at Himiro's hands. And with his fists glowing, he vows to fight demons so that never happens again. Then he drops the big pitch. Use us to save the world, a hell of a job application. Himiro and Amagi listen intently, with the chairman looking like he is loving every second of this. After that whole performance, the bearded man announces he has finally reached a decision. His verdict is in. They will be overseen by the association under certain conditions. Makoto and Renoa are just floored, probably expecting immediate execution. This rest of the council takes it in, Amagi looking smug as hell that his bet paid off. Even Yusugi and Kazane are relieved that putting their careers on the line actually worked. Tsubasa, on the other hand, completely loses his mind, screaming at the old man. His fist is clenched so tight you can practically hear his blood pressure skyrocketing. He rants that he cannot accept this without a good reason, because probation is not in his vocabulary. This old hunter just gives him a look that basically says, I am the adult here, son. He explains that the value of their team, with friends willing to vouch for them, is undeniable. More importantly, he says he looked into Makoto's eyes and saw zero deception. He then tells Tsubasa that this is not him going soft, it is a calculated move. Tsubasa can only grit his teeth, completely outmaneuvered and shut down. Finally backing down, he concedes and Renji asks what these conditions are gonna be. This old hunter lays out the first condition for their probation, which is basically a high-stakes internship. Their two main tasks are to spill all their demon intel and start racking up a body count for the right side, of course. He tells them to earn the council's trust through their actions, not just their dramatic speeches. Makoto immediately agrees because it is either this or, summary execution. With that, the entire squad bows deeply, just thankful to still be breathing. This old man gets right to it, demanding they start the debriefing immediately. But first, Yusugi and Kazane are politely kicked out since this part is classified top secret. He admits their current intel on the demon world is severely lacking, putting all the pressure on Renoa. Their first question is about the Magins, the elite-tier demons they know almost nothing about. All eyes turn to Renoa, who is now the association's one and only demon encyclopedia. She drops the first bomb. There are about 100 of these monsters and they are organized just like the hunters. Makoto just about has a heart attack hearing that number, realizing how screwed humanity is. To make matters worse, she says dozens of them are as strong as Tsubasa or even stronger. While Himiro looks worried, Tsubasa just flexes, confidently declaring the S-ranks will handle it because ego. Renoa then adds that a demon king leads them all, though she does not know any more than that. This old hunter strokes his beard, recognizing that the existence of a king is a game-changing revelation. Renji, ever the interrogator, immediately asks how she knows all this, forcing her to relive her past. She explains that after falling, she was captured and taken to the demon's main base for a job interview. Her expression turns grim as she remembers being completely overwhelmed by their forces. She even reveals they tried to brainwash her, but she escaped, gathering all this intel firsthand. This old hunter cuts right to the chase, asking what the demon's ultimate goal is for invading their world. Renoa explains that on a basic level, demons need to eat and sleep just like humans. But their fundamental instinct is just to invade and dominate, no complex philosophy, just pure conquest. Renji immediately notes that if it is just instinct, there is no room for negotiation or strategy. However, she adds that the Magins have actual intelligence on top of those instincts, which changes everything. That implies their king has a specific goal beyond just mindless destruction, making him a much bigger threat. Tsubasa listens intently, the idea of a strategic enemy finally getting his attention. Unfortunately, Renoa admits she does not know the details of the Demon King's grand plan. Tsubasa just cracks his knuckles, gleefully promising to smash any plot the king comes up with, a man of simple pleasures. Himiro, meanwhile, thinks it would be interesting if the demons were invading for some petty reason. Amagi agrees, saying a war against an intelligent king is way more fun than just pest control. With the intel dropped, Makoto thanks Renoa and tells her to be ready for more questioning later. This bearded hunter clenches his fist, the gem on his glove glowing with power. He declares that despite this new information, their core mission has not changed one bit. Across the room, the council members all share the same resolve. The fight against the demons continues. Then the old man adds a new rule. Makoto will be detained inside the association for monitoring, just in case. Amagi frames it as being for his own safety, but warns him to expect a whole lot of rumors and mockery from other hunters. Our boy just smirks, saying he is already used to being treated like trash, so bring it on. He is already planning to start racking up achievements by hunting demons to prove himself. But Amagi brings him back to reality, reminding him he is still just an F rank and promotions do not come easy. Amagi is completely floored, admitting he did not expect the chairman to get personally involved like this. Turns out, hearing all that fresh intel on the demons got the old man super fired up. Getting right in their faces, he announces he is giving Makoto and Renoa a special re-evaluation himself. Makoto is just stunned, having absolutely no clue what that is supposed to mean. From the peanut gallery, Himiro and Amagi know exactly what is happening. The chairman's bad habit has kicked in. Tsubasa is practically salivating at the thought of Makoto getting wrecked, while our boy just panics. Before he can even protest, the chairman just grabs him and hauls him off to the training hall. And just like that, they are standing in the middle of a massive arena, squaring off. This old man rolls up his sleeves, challenging Makoto to fight to prove his true strength. Our boy is, understandably, sweating bullets at the idea of fighting the head of the entire association. This chairman promises to hold back, to a casual 10 to 20% of his power, so generous. Then he summons a gigantic golden spirit knight and a holy sword, which is a weird way of saying holding back. Makoto and Renoa brace themselves, realizing the chairman's power feels just as immense as Amagi's. So now it is a 2-on-2 fight with the rest of the council watching like it is pay-per-view. Amagi looks particularly entertained, smirking as he waits to see what Makoto's really made of. Then the chairman drops the conditions for this little pop quiz. If Makoto cannot land a single hit on him, he is getting kicked out of the Hunter Association for good. With the terms set, he and his golden stand-in just charge straight at them without any warning. Makoto is still trying to process this career-ending duel, begging him to stop joking around. But the chairman is already on the move, closing the distance in an absolute flash. This chairman clarifies this is absolutely not a joke, which is not reassuring at all. Our boy's face just screams, "I am in danger," as the reality of the situation sinks in. And with that, the Golden Knight unleashes a massive swing that could level a building. It crashes down with incredible force, tearing up the training hall floor instantly. Makoto barely gets clear, completely stunned by the sheer weight of that single strike. This old man then reminds him of that big speech about delivering results. He's basically asking if all that talk about saving the world was just a load of hot air. Pushed into a corner, Makoto gets back on his feet, ready to actually fight back. His hands are already numb, and he is realizing this is what holding back looks like for the chairman. This chairman just goads him, telling him to stop hesitating and bring the fight to him. Our boy is just sweating buckets, trying to figure out how to even approach this monster. Finally deciding to make a move, he taps into his shadow powers to try and gain an edge. He unleashes his shadow bind, wrapping the old hunter in dark, restrictive chains. For a split second, the chairman actually looks a little impressed, noting he has a skill after all. Thinking he has got him pinned, Makoto charges in for the one hit he desperately needs. His arm is wreathed in dark energy as he brings his sword down with everything he has got, only for the chairman to just catch the blade with his bare freaking hand. He then looks down at him with total disappointment, calling the attack completely shallow. This old man warns him that if he is not planning on going all out, this is over. And then he just casually swats him away, sending our boy flying across the arena. Makoto hits the floor hard, completely wrecked by that one casual backhand. This chairman just smirks, telling him he is not even going to land a single hit. Sprawled out and defeated, our boy can only curse as the old man stands over him. Then he shatters the shadow chains like they are made of paper, asking if that is all Makoto's got. Getting to his feet, Makoto is just stunned, wondering if he is fighting a man or a monster. Meanwhile, in the stands, Amagi decides this is the perfect time for a drink. He starts chugging sake straight from the bottle because spectating is hard work, This council just watches, with Renji having traumatic flashbacks to his own evaluation with the chairman. Back in the arena, the two of them face off again from opposite ends of the hall. Makoto knows he has to land one hit to pass, but has absolutely no idea how to do it. Seeing the kid is ready for more, the chairman decides it is time to go on the offensive. He unleashes a blur of an attack that just rips a massive gash in the floor. In a flash, he is right on top of Makoto, bringing his light sword down with incredible speed. This gem on his glove glows as he puts some serious power into this swing. Our boy desperately tries to parry the massive golden blade with his own dark sword, but he immediately realizes there is no way in hell he can block this attack head-on. This sheer force of the blow sends him flying backwards across the arena. He manages to land on his feet, but he is already looking completely overwhelmed. Renji asks if the old man is actually trying to kill him, but Amagi explains he is making his swings easy to read on purpose. This chairman praises his dodge, telling him to keep up the pace because this test is just getting started. Makoto dodges a blur of light-based attacks, barely staying ahead of the old man's relentless swings. Our boy is already feeling the pressure, realizing every single hit is ridiculously heavy and fast. This chairman taunts him, saying a win is not possible if all he does is run away like a coward. With a new resolve, Makoto decides it is time to stop playing defense and actually do something. He leaps over another devastating swing, using the momentum to create some distance. Then he materializes a spiky shadow projectile, ready to try a ranged attack for a change. Down below, the chairman just looks up, completely unimpressed by the new trick. Makoto hurls the shadow weapon, which explodes in a burst of dark energy right in his face. From the stands, Tsubasa smirks, finally finding the one-sided beatdown entertaining. Landing on his feet, Makoto desperately hopes that attack actually connected. But the chairman just reveals a massive golden shield he used to block it, even giving a condescending compliment. Makoto is completely baffled, asking when he even summoned a shield, to which the old man just taunts him. Promising to show him more, the chairman's hand glows with golden power again. And just like that, he summons a freaking holy spear to go with his holy shield. Our boy is just speechless, watching the chairman pull legendary weapons out of thin air. This old man explains his armory skill lets him swap weapons whenever he feels like it, a total cheat code. Renoa notes that he's got a whole arsenal and none of it is standard issue gear. Amagi clarifies for Himiro that the chairman's spirit is the god of weapons, giving him unlimited access to an epic armory. Even Tsubasa has to admit the old man is the undisputed king of close-quarters combat. With his new spear in hand, the chairman announces that round 2 is officially starting. Makoto knows a bad weapon matchup is a death sentence, forcing him to think on his feet. This chairman pegs Makoto's skill as a materialization type, a budget version of his own armory. Finding this interesting, he challenges Makoto to show him what he has got and charges in with the spear. A powerful spear thrust rips through the air, forcing our boy to dodge for his life. He is immediately overwhelmed, realizing the spear's reach and power are on a whole other level. His face says it all, this is way more than he bargained for. He is just barely dodging a flurry of attacks, each one a blur of deadly light. Then the chairman reveals he can split his spear into 2 homing projectiles because of course he can. Makoto can only watch in horror as the old man continues to break the rules of fair play. Just for fun, the chairman swaps to a gigantic warhammer and brings it crashing down. This impact shatters the arena floor, sending shockwaves through the entire hall. Makoto desperately leaps back, trying to create any kind of distance from this weapon-spamming maniac. He jumps over a massive axe swing from the Golden Spirit Knight, which is apparently still a thing. With a flick of his wrist, the chairman's glowing hand starts conjuring yet another weapon. And now he's got a holy bow, ready to turn this beatdown into a long-range execution. But Makoto grits his teeth, refusing to go down without putting up a fight. From the stands, the council just watches the light show unfold, best seats in the house. Amagi notes that the chairman is actually a pretty good teacher if you survive the lesson. Makoto's shadow blade clashes with a volley of light arrows, a desperate defense against the onslaught. He stands his ground, surrounded by broken arrows, bruised but somehow still in the fight. Not missing a beat, the chairman swaps back to his holy sword, looking way too comfortable. Makoto tells Renoa he is finally starting to see a pattern in the old man's overwhelming fighting style. Up in the stands, Tsubasa notes the armory skill ensures the chairman always has the perfect counterweapon. With a decisive stomp, the old hunter prepares to launch another attack. He then rockets across the floor, demanding to see how Makoto will respond this time. Thinking on his feet, our boy decides to play the same game and materializes a weapon of his own. This chairman sees the strategy, correctly guessing that a spear would be a good choice against a sword. But he scoffs that it will not be enough, his hand already glowing to summon another counter. At that exact moment, Makoto unleashes his own shadow spear, seizing the opportunity. He charges forward, aiming to exploit the weapon matchup he just forced into existence. This old man's eyes narrow, watching the attack come in with surprising focus. With a desperate lunge, Makoto puts every last bit of his strength into the thrust. This chairman parries the blow, but the shadow spear whips around his golden sword. From the peanut gallery, Himiro and Tsubasa are absolutely stunned by the sudden turn of events, and the spear's tip just barely grazes him, slicing clean through his tie. That is a hit. Amagi praises the move, noting Makoto cleverly used the time lag from the chairman's weapon swap. Makoto is left panting for air, having poured everything into that one perfect shot. Wiping his mouth, he looks up, waiting to see if that was enough to pass. This chairman actually seems impressed, admitting it is tough to use a spear at such close range. He confirms Makoto aimed for that tiny opening and landed a blow. Our boy actually did it. This chairman claps, announcing the examination is officially over. Our boy passed. Makoto just stands there, completely dumbfounded that he actually survived the ordeal. He immediately drops to his knees, thanking the old man for the life-threatening test. Completely spent, he is just dripping with sweat as the adrenaline finally wears off. He realizes the whole beatdown was a brutal lesson and the chairman was not holding back at all. This old man gives him a surprisingly gentle pat on the head, praising his quick thinking, but he also points out that his mana control is still absolute garbage, so do not get cocky. As a reward for not dying, he officially promotes Makoto straight to B rank. Our boy is floored, having skipped like 3 entire ranks in a single afternoon. Fired up with new purpose, Makoto accepts the challenge with a determined shout. Amagi then pops out of a portal, sake bottle in hand, to congratulate him on the thorough evaluation. He also makes sure to remind Makoto he is still leagues below him, gotta keep that ego in check. Looking at his hand, Makoto knows he has a long way to go to catch up to these monsters. He then turns to Amagi, a new idea forming in his head. With a desperate plea, our boy asks Amagi to personally train him to get stronger. He even does the full-on formal bow, practically begging for some one-on-one lessons. Amagi just smirks, revealing this was all part of his plan from the very beginning. Apparently, he was already planning on taking the kid under his wing anyway. With a confident grin, he agrees to the training, eager to see how strong Makoto can become. And so, with a new mentor secured, the next chapter begins outside the Hunter Association HQ. In a private room, Amagi kicks off the training session, bottle still firmly in hand. His big idea is the same training regimen he once used with his own spirit, Nova. This lesson starts with the basics. A hunter's power grows by strengthening their bond with their spirit. Makoto immediately asks if that is even possible for him and Renoa given their weird contract. As long as the divine stone connects them, Amagi says it is theoretically possible to sync up. He points out that Renoa is sitting on a massive mana pool just waiting to be tapped, but the whole problem is she cannot actually transfer that power to Makoto properly right now. Amagi promises that once this training is done, our boy will be on a completely different level. Fired up, Makoto eagerly agrees to the guidance, a decision he is about to question. So Amagi begins to lay out the very first step of this intense power-leveling regimen, and that step is to hold hands while conquering a dungeon, truly a revolutionary technique. Makoto and Renoa just stare back, their faces a perfect blend of confusion and "are you serious?" This next day they are unceremoniously dropped into a dungeon to begin this unique training. So there they are, awkwardly walking through a cave hand in hand, just like their mentor ordered. Renoa immediately trips and faceplants because this is going absolutely great so far. He asks if she is embarrassed by all this and her expression is a resounding yes. Makoto lays down the rules, do not let go no matter what and no talking during fights. Their mission is to clear dungeons from F to C rank like this, good luck kids. Suddenly, Renoa spots trouble ahead, pointing them toward their first real test. And right on cue, a horde of monsters appears, ready to see how effective this hand-holding strategy really is. Makoto wants to start with some careful observation, an actual plan, but Renoa immediately blitzes a monster, completely ignoring the plan part of the plan. She is all business, insisting they need to wipe these things out as fast as possible. A baffled Makoto asks what the hell happened to his brilliant observation strategy. And right on cue, a giant monster fist comes flying in to interrupt their little debate. This result is a clumsy hand-holding battle against a swarm of bat creatures. Another one dives straight for Makoto's head, really testing their unique formation. He yanks Renoa out of the way, who looks just as confused as he feels. They barely manage to dodge an attack together, their movements totally clashing. While dodging is easy enough, Renoa points out they are just getting in each other's way. So Makoto tries a new tactic, materializing a shadow gun to fight at range. He blasts one of the monsters right in the face, which seems pretty effective. Standing over the defeated mob, he asks if that is all of them, ever the optimist. Renoa immediately shuts that down, showing him they are now surrounded for being too slow. His face just screams, "You have got to be kidding me," as the situation gets worse. With no time to regroup, a massive clawed hand swipes through the air toward them. They both agree it is not the time to argue and just focus on not dying. 2 weeks later, they have somehow survived and are now at a C-rank boss room. They are getting used to the hand-holding combat, but their fighting styles are still a total mess. And Makoto admits that taking on a boss like this is probably a terrible idea. Makoto tries for a little pep talk, but Renoa's response is basically, "I make no promises." She then drops some wisdom about how the key is not matching moves, but understanding each other. For a split second, she sounds incredibly profound, a truly rare and beautiful thing to witness. And our boy is right there with her, having a sudden moment of, "Oh, I get it now." With their newfound bond, they step into the boss room, still awkwardly holding hands. A massive, glowing blue eye immediately swivels to lock onto them, so much for a stealth approach. And there it is, the C-rank boss, a legacy golem that is the size of a small building. Makoto actually thinks this slow, tanky foe is the perfect test for their unique strategy, but Renoa immediately yanks him into the air because strategy is just a suggestion to her. Deciding he has to go on the offensive, Makoto materializes a ridiculously large shadow axe. He brings the weapon down with a mighty swing, smashing it right into the golem's arm. This hit barely even chips the stone, which is just a fantastic start to this boss fight. Our boy immediately realizes he might have underestimated this particular pile of rocks. As the golem swings back, Renoa has to physically drag him out of the way of a crushing blow. Their faces are a perfect blend of oh crap as they get tossed around like a single, clumsy unit. This shockwave sends them flying across the room, completely out of control. They manage to land just as the golem summons a fresh wave of spikes from the floor. Makoto knows they're totally out of sync, their timing a complete and utter disaster. Renoa, however, looks back with a strange, focused glint in her eyes. He can tell she is aiming for something, but he has absolutely no idea what her plan is. Renoa gives his hand a firm squeeze, signaling it is time to stop flailing and get serious. With a look of pure, unadulterated focus, she has clearly got some kind of ace up her sleeve. Makoto just stares back, trying to read her intentions through their very awkward connection. Deciding to go all in on trust, he figures she must have a plan, a first for everything, I guess. He plants his feet, fully committing to following her lead no matter how insane it seems. Finally realizing they have to be in sync to get stronger, they stand together as one unit. And just in time, because the golem launches a haymaker straight for their faces. Renoa yanks him into a wild, spiraling assault, using their momentum to attack from all angles. Their synchronized strike actually cracks the golem's stone armor right over its core. This massive boss stumbles back, completely thrown off by their sudden, coordinated attack. As the golem recoils from the blow, its glowing weak point is left wide open. Makoto suddenly sees the opening, realizing he never would have spotted it without her chaotic lid. Renoa is all business, declaring they are going to finish this thing off right now. But this time, Makoto is the one who tightens his grip, taking control of their movement. She looks back in shock as he pulls her into a new position, completely reversing their roles. Our boy flashes a confident smirk, finally ready to show her how a little strategy works. He tells her to trust him, throwing her own words right back at her with a grin. This golem unleashes a massive beam of energy from its chest, forcing them to react instantly. While dodging, Makoto explains his philosophy: always assess the situation before rushing in. And just like that, Renoa gets it. His cautious style is not cowardice, it is risk management. With its armor shattered, the golem's glowing blue core is now completely vulnerable. Now facing a staggered behemoth, Makoto readies his shadow weapon for the final blow. He shoots her a confident grin, finally proving that a little bit of planning goes a long way. Of course, the boss is not just gonna stand there, launching a haymaker to shut them down. This punch shatters the floor, but thanks to his quick thinking, they are already out of the way. With a firm grip on his shadow weapon, he prepares to unleash everything he has got. Then lunges forward, channeling all his power into a single, devastating thrust at the core. That glowing weak point is just begging to be hit, and the golem can only watch it happen. And from above, Renoa joins in with a massive shadow hammer, adding her power to his. Still holding hands, mind you, because this is the most romantic boss beatdown ever. In that moment, Makoto realizes he could not have conquered this dungeon by himself. While Renoa admits she would have been crushed if she'd tried to fight this thing solo. Finally, he understands their combined strength, materializing a new shadow weapon with newfound clarity. Unleashing a massive blade of pure shadow, he cleaves the golem right down the middle. This blade makes direct contact, completely obliterating the core in a flash of light. Its power source shattered, the stone giant just crumbles into a heap on the floor. The shadow energy fades from his hand as the battle's intensity finally subsides. Our boy is absolutely beaming, just completely ecstatic that they actually pulled it off. He is practically bouncing off the walls, yelling to Renoa that they finally won. Then goes for a high five, which Renoa meets with a soul-crushing deadpan stare. Classic. Makoto has to explain the very concept of a high five, which Renoa is not processing at all. He just chalks it up to her being her usual weird self, leaving her completely baffled. Later that night, Makoto tracks his mentor down to a very sketchy-looking bar in an alley. Inside, it is exactly the kind of place you'd expect Amagi to frequent, booze everywhere. And sure enough, there he is at the bar, already well on his way to being hammered. A bell chimes as the door opens, announcing Makoto's arrival to the room. His mentor does not even bother to turn around, just casually swirls his fancy drink. Without looking back, Amagi asks how the hell he found his private little hideaway. Makoto explains that the chairman sold him out, mentioning this is his usual spot. With a slight smirk, Amagi admits the training must have been a huge help after all. He can feel the change in Makoto's aura. This is not the same kid from 3 days ago. Amagi tells him his growth has completely shattered all his expectations. Our boy just beams, soaking up the rare compliment from his perpetually drunk sensei. But their little moment is interrupted when the bartender mentions a deployment email from the association. It seems Makoto's been called up to conquer a B-rank dungeon first thing tomorrow. Amagi slides him a drink, saying this is the perfect chance to show everyone what he is made of. He encourages Makoto to go out there and flex his newfound skills for the world to see. Looking more confident than ever, our boy is totally ready for the challenge. They share a toast, celebrating the end of one trial and the beginning of another. This scene then flashes back to several hours ago inside a Hunter Association meeting room. A high-level meeting is underway where officials are briefed on a massive new gate. One of the suits immediately suggests summoning hunters, turning to the chairman for the final word. This chairman, looking every bit the seasoned veteran, agrees and asks for the dungeon's rank. A researcher with a tablet confirms their intel. It is a B-rank dungeon they are dealing with. This B rank classification seems to give the old man a very specific idea. He then announces he has a particular hunter in mind, someone he is sure will achieve great things. This others are all ears, wondering who this special candidate could possibly be. And of course, it is Makoto's profile that flashes on screen, our boys getting thrown into the fire. This scene then shifts to the next day on the outskirts of Kanto Prefecture. Makoto arrives at the dungeon entrance to find a whole squad of hunters already waiting. He's a little surprised to see 10 people gathered, a pretty big party for one dungeon. But the welcome wagon is less than friendly. A red-haired hunter immediately calls him out for his demon contract. Another guy chimes in, accusing him of betraying everyone who has ever lost someone to demons. Makoto just takes the verbal assault, his expression completely unreadable. Internally, he figures their reaction is understandable and decides it is best not to escalate things. This other hunters just keep piling on, calling him incompetent trash who does not belong there. His little spirit companion even pops up to ask if he is really gonna take this, but Makoto stays cool. Then one of them takes it way too far, suggesting they should just kill him now for the greater good. He immediately follows through on that threat, lashing out with a whip made of pure lightning. But Makoto dodges with ease, his own shadow power flaring to life, ready to answer. But before Makoto can retaliate, a huge wave of water smashes the lightning whip. Our boy is totally stunned, caught completely off guard by the sudden save. A pink-haired hunter appears, casually reminding everyone that fighting each other is against the rules. This other guys immediately freak out, recognizing her as the famous hunter Kadu. She offers Makoto a handshake, saying the rule applies to her too, which is a surprisingly chill move. With that settled, she immediately takes command and tells everyone to get ready for the mission. Turns out she is a famous influencer and an rank hunter, which explains the take charge attitude. Makoto then notices another hunter in the group, a quiet guy in green watching him from a distance. This dude seems to know exactly who Makoto is, his expression completely unreadable. A few minutes later, the whole squad heads into the B-rank dungeon, and they are immediately greeted by a scorching hot desolate canyon, a real vacation spot. Some of the others are already complaining about the heat, but Makoto seems completely unbothered. Kadu just confidently steps forward, not a care in the world. Their path is suddenly blocked by a massive, seemingly bottomless chasm. She looks down, a little concerned but not at all surprised by the obstacle, because lurking in the depths is a literal horde of demons just waiting for them to slip up. Steeling herself, Kadu decides her plan is the right call and prepares to lead. She asks if anyone has water or earth skills to build a bridge across the chasm. Makoto pulls up his hood, catching her eye as if he is volunteering for something. Instead, she puts him on lookout duty, telling him to watch the demons for any sudden moves. Kadu notes that if those demons attacked, they'd be in some serious trouble. She then turns to Makoto, looking like she is about to wrap up her little briefing, but with a snap of her fingers, her whole friendly influencer persona just evaporates. Suddenly, two of the other hunters grab our boy from behind, holding him completely still. Makoto is totally stunned, demanding to know what the hell they think they are doing, and Kadu just calmly explains the team took a vote and decided to kill him, accidentally of course. This sheer audacity of it all hits him, they think he is the dangerous one. Turns out, every single hunter on this raid squad has a personal grudge. She clarifies that since they all hate demons, his contract makes him a target by default. With that, his so-called teammates just shove him right off the cliff into the demon pit. Makoto is absolutely seething as he plummets toward the swarm of monsters below. This others just watch, smugly deciding they will come back for the body later, if there is one left. Kadu even offers a completely unhinged, "I am sorry, okay," like she just stepped on his shoe. Down he goes, falling helplessly into the darkness of the chasm. He flashes back to another betrayal, furious that he let his guard down again. But as he falls, his hand begins to glow with that familiar shadow power. Renoa suddenly appears behind him, grabbing his hand and telling him she has got this. In that instant, he knows this time is different. He is not alone anymore. A chain of pure shadow energy erupts from his palm, ready to lash out. It shoots out like a grappling hook, sinking deep into the canyon wall to break his fall. Suspended by his shadow chain, Makoto and Renoa stare down the horde of angry demons below. He knows there is no way in hell he can climb all the way back to the top. Plus, the welcoming committee is a pack of B-rank high devils, a whole new class of monster. But his shadow power surges through his hand, he is not about to just roll over and die. With Renoa at his side, he is absolutely confident they have what it takes to win this. Meanwhile, the team has already built their bridge and crossed, leaving him for dead without a second thought. That quiet hunter in green is still hiding, realizing he needs to act fast but unsure what to do. Down in the pit, Makoto decides it is go time, materializing a massive shadow blade. He immediately unleashes a devastating swing, carving right through the front line of demons. These monsters look absolutely shocked. This was not the easy meal they were expecting. He and Renoa are perfectly in sync, ready to take on the entire horde together. A huge horned demon gets absolutely shredded, a testament to his insane power-up. Our boy can feel the difference. His mana and physical stats are worlds beyond what they were before. Now surrounded, the demons seem a lot less eager to jump him. They know he is dangerous. With a flick of his wrist, shadow chains erupt from his hand, binding several of the monsters instantly. This is the payoff for all that training. He knows they have got this in the bag. Together, they unleash a massive crescent wave of shadow energy, wiping out dozens of demons at once. From his hiding spot, the green-clad hunter is floored, recognizing Makoto's movements as B-rank level. Then a strange blue gem on the back of his hand starts to glow brightly. And just like that, he loses his grip and starts to fall right into the chasm himself. Whoops. This green-clad hunter lets out a totally dignified shriek as he plummets into the abyss. He makes a new friend, the floor, with a very loud thud. Somehow still in one piece, he is just relieved to be breathing. But his new neighbors, the demon horde, are less than thrilled to see him. His brain finally catches up to the "I am about to be eaten" part of the situation. One of the demons lunges forward, ready for a quick and easy snack. And the guy's brilliant counter-strategy is to curl up and beg for his life. From across the battlefield, Makoto looks deeply unimpressed with this whole display. So with a flash of shadow, he casually slices the monster in half to save the screaming dude. This hunter looks up, absolutely stunned, and somehow knows Makoto's name. Our boy, however, has no idea who this guy is and asks him straight up. After a quick thank you, the hunter is just happy to not be demon food. He introduces himself as Izumi Yuki, admitting they have never met before. Makoto immediately recognizes the name. He is the youngest hunter on record. He also thought the famous rookie was a girl, which is a bit awkward. Yuki just laughs it off, clarifying that he is, in fact, a dude. At which point Renoa pops in with her 2 cents, calling him a liar. Makoto tries to explain appearances to his demon spirit, who is still trying to process this. But then our boy remembers something important. Yuki knew his name without an introduction. Yuki just smiles, cryptically explaining that he has been keeping an eye on Makoto for a while now. Yuki reveals he has been watching Makoto for ages, admiring his never-give-up attitude. He even calls our boy his personal role model for courage, which is a little embarrassing for Makoto. This kid is just stunned, realizing someone actually looked up to him during his weakest days. When asked why he is here, Yuki admits he was so worried he fell off a cliff, a true master of stealth. Seeing a kindred spirit in the clumsy rookie, Makoto offers him a spot in their party. Yuki accepts immediately, grabbing his hand like he just won the lottery. With their new member officially recruited, it is time to finally get out of this demon-infested pit. But first, Makoto has to finish the cleanup, binding the last few monsters with his shadow chains. He unleashes one final, devastating swing to wipe the remaining demons off the map. From the sidelines, Yuki watches the effortless display of power from Makoto and Renoa. This kid is completely starstruck, looking like he has just met his all-time hero. Makoto gives a satisfied smirk, feeling good about his new strength as Yuki praises him. His new fanboy then asks for the secret to his power, desperate to be just as strong. Our boy gets a little flustered, and Renoa helpfully points out they were holding hands while fighting. This triggers a horrible flashback for Yuki, a fiery scene where he is being accused of killing his comrades. In the memory, he is desperately trying to explain that it was not his fault. This vision shows him standing over fallen allies, insisting he never meant for any of it to happen. His face in that moment is just a mask of pure, unadulterated terror. Back in the present, Makoto apologizes for bringing up a bad memory as a flame appears in Yuki's hand. Makoto immediately understands this kid has some serious trauma connected to his own powers. Makoto kneels down, getting on the kid's level to talk him through his panic. He tells Yuki that he knows he has been trying his best, offering some much-needed validation. This kid is just floored, his little fire spirit equally stunned by the sudden kindness. Makoto drops some hard-earned wisdom about how genuine effort is never wasted. He then adds that just wanting to help is more than enough for now, no pressure. Yuki is on the verge of tears, realizing no one has ever shown him this kind of faith before. With a new fire in his heart, he clenches his fist as the blue gem on his hand flares with resolve. He gets to his feet and gives Makoto a heartfelt thank you, finally looking steady. Yuki then makes a solemn vow to become a source of strength for his new hero. Our boy just smiles, totally relieved, with Renoa looking on like a proud mom. And with that, the new trio sets off to conquer the dungeon, Renoa flying escort. Meanwhile, 10 hours later, Kadu's group of backstabbers finally reaches the mountain peak. They are in the middle of a throwdown with the dungeon boss, a massive demon called Emperor Bale. Kadu takes command, telling her terrified teammates to get behind her as she finishes her prep. This giant demon boss charges straight for her, ready to flatten the whole squad. But she unleashes her trump card, summoning a massive water spirit for a huge attack. A tidal wave of icy spears just absolutely hammers the boss, a seriously flashy move. Emperor Bale roars in pain, getting completely overwhelmed by the sheer force of the spell. This attack leaves a literal rainbow, and her team is just gushing over how amazing she is. Kadu smugly announces the boss is dead, checking if everyone's okay, the ones she did not try to murder. But their victory party is cut short by a massive shadow claw descending from above. Katu immediately feels a terrifyingly violent mana, realizing the boss was not the main event. With a heavy stomp, a new challenger lands on the battlefield, radiating pure menace. A horned Magin casually holds up a boulder, complaining that all this moving around is draining his mana. This rest of the team completely panics, recognizing this new guy as a top-tier threat. He then stumbles, announcing he accidentally stepped on the boss's corpse, a truly graceful entrance. Two of her lackeys decide he looks weak, confident they can win since Kadu's there. So they charge forward with a brilliant plan to make an opening for her. Kadu screams at the absolute idiots, telling them not to act so carelessly, and in a flash they are both instantly ripped to pieces for their trouble. She can only stare in horror, the Magin's silhouette reflected in her wide eyes. He looks at his hand, musing that they were way too weak to have beaten the Emperor. Pointing right at Kadu, he correctly guesses she is the real winner and asks if she wants to go around. She immediately orders her remaining teammates to get the hell out of there. They do not need to be told twice, scattering like roaches in the light. This Magin introduces himself as Jaga, then politely asks for her name. Kadu just powers up her water spirit, refusing to give her name to a demon. Unfazed, Jaga just smirks and says he will just have to make her talk then. He unleashes a devastating attack that rips right through her water defenses. Her face says it all, she is completely and utterly outclassed. Jaga moves in a blur, driving a knee straight into Kadu's stomach. She is in total shock, completely unable to react to his insane speed. This impact sends her flying across the ground like a total ragdoll. She is left coughing on the ground, completely winded from the single blow. He looms over her, casually asking for her name again like nothing happened. But even now she is spitting defiance, refusing to tell a demon anything. Unfazed, Jaga just says fine and forms a dark, rose-shaped energy attack. He prepares to end it with a single word, die. Kadu can only watch in horror, bracing for the inevitable end. But suddenly a purple chain whips in and shatters the attack completely. A new challenger has arrived, and it is none other than our boy Makoto. He stands between Kadu and the Magin, his shadow chain ready to go. With Renoa floating behind him, he tells the demon that is enough. Makoto immediately goes on the offensive, lashing out with his chain. Jaga is forced to dodge back as the rest of the party watches in awe. Her former teammates are just gaping, wondering how the hell Makoto is still alive. Makoto tells Yuki to get Kadu to safety, and the kid quickly obeys. As she's being helped away, Kadu asks why he'd save her after she betrayed him. He just says it is the right thing to do, his back turned as his power flares. Yuki carefully leads the stunned Kadu away, leaving Makoto to face the Magin alone. With the audience safely at a distance, Makoto and Jaga face off in the cratered arena. Our boy lets out a little laugh, clearly excited for a real fight while Renoa looks on. Jaga sizes him up, noting the shadow abilities and the fallen angel partner. He realizes this is the human he has heard whispers about, and he is absolutely thrilled. With a wicked grin, the Magin decides it is time to get this party started. He lunges forward in a blur of motion, closing the distance in an instant. Makoto meets the charge head-on, their fists clashing in a brilliant explosion of energy. This impact sends a massive shockwave ripping through the battlefield. Jaga's claws grind against Makoto's shadow blade, but it does not even scratch it. This demon follows up with a high kick, which our boy easily sidesteps. Makoto counters by whipping out his trusty shadow chains for a quick bind. They wrap around Jaga's body, completely immobilizing him mid-attack. This Magin just smirks, seemingly unfazed by being caught so easily. Using the chains, Makoto swings him around and slams him hard into the dirt. He follows up with a devastating shadow-infused punch right to the chest. Jaga actually winces, gritting his teeth as he takes a solid hit for once. Makoto's shadow morphs into a new weapon, showing off his improved control. Meanwhile, Kadu's former lackeys just stand there and watch, contributing absolutely nothing. These two combatants are just grinning at each other, both admitting this is a ton of fun. Kadu is floored, unable to believe Makoto is evenly matched with the demon she could not even touch. Kadu, meanwhile, has a rare moment of self-awareness, admitting she'd just be a liability out there. Back in the fight, Jaga's glowing red claws grind against Makoto's shadow blade. This Magin leaps back to create some distance, vowing to just brute force his way through. He then forms a nasty-looking energy ball, taunting our boy about his dodging skills. Makoto just braces for impact, not even flinching at the massive attack heading his way. With a dramatic flourish, Jaga unleashes his dark extreme beam, because subtlety is for losers. This blast is so huge that Yuki has to shield Kadu and her remaining lackey from the shockwave. Through the smoke, Jaga stands there looking smug, clearly thinking he has already won. He even starts giving Makoto pointers, saying he needs to make better openings for his big moves. But right as he is monologuing, Makoto appears behind him and lands a brutal gut punch. Jaga actually coughs up blood, completely stunned by the lightning-fast counterattack. This forces him to activate a new technique with a totally not edgy name, Red Dead Blood Death Law. A massive wave of blood erupts from his body, forcing Makoto to finally back off. Our boy looks on, genuinely surprised by this sudden and gruesome change in tactics. This blood forms into a swarm of razor-sharp spikes, clashing against his shadow weapon. These bloody spikes then burst from the ground all around the battlefield, turning it into a total hazard zone. Jaga stands in the middle of his new art installation as Makoto realizes he is manipulating blood. Makoto seems more curious than scared, wondering if this is a demon's unique ability. This Magin confirms it, explaining that all demons have a special power called a dark art. He then reveals he was forced to use it because Makoto is the human his boss, Grom, is interested in. Jaga proudly declares his loyalty to his boss, Grom, offering to give Makoto a little lesson. He then drops a whole lecture on demon power levels, revealing his boss is middle class. Makoto processes this. The guy who wrecked Kadu is just a low-tier demon and his boss is even stronger. Jaga mockingly asks if our boy is losing hope now that he knows he is fighting a peon. With that, he casually kicks off round 2, sending a tidal wave of blood spikes forward. But Makoto is not phased, powering up his own shadow magic to meet the attack head-on. He zips through the storm of bloody projectiles, dodging every single one with incredible speed. His shadow morphs into a shield, blocking a massive spike and testing its defensive power. Jaga looks on in genuine surprise as his attack gets completely neutralized. Our boy then forms a massive shadow scythe, leaving the demon stunned by his weapon's versatility. This Magin just grins, reminding Makoto that he warned him not to take him lightly. In a flash, Makoto closes the distance, rushing in for a close-quarters assault. His hand glows with concentrated shadow energy as he challenges the demon to match his speed. Jaga muses on the nature of Makoto's power, complaining that being smart is such a drag, a truly relatable problem. He unleashes a volley of crescent-shaped shadow blades, forcing Jaga to dodge frantically. One of the blades connects, slicing right across the demon's chest and drawing first blood. This just seems to piss him off as he complains about how annoying this all is. Meanwhile, the audience is just stunned, with Renoa proudly noting that Makoto is on the offensive. A pool of the Magin's blood gathers on the ground, proof that he is actually taking damage. Makoto stands his ground, ready for whatever comes next as the wounded demon prepares his counter. Jaga's face splits into a wicked grin, announcing he has just thought of a great new way to be a menace. Suddenly, blood whips erupt from the ground, ensnaring Yuki and Kadu's remaining crew. Kadu and the others are completely bound, caught totally off guard by the sudden attack. Even Makoto gets snagged, calling out Jaga for his cheap, cowardly tactics. From the demon's perspective, it is all over as he prepares to crush his new hostages. This whole group panics, realizing they are completely helpless and this is looking very, very bad. Kadu can only brace for impact, knowing a world of hurt is about to land on her. And in a flash of red, the attack lands with brutal, unseen force. She stares in disbelief, a splash of blood hitting her cheek as she processes what just happened. It turns out Makoto threw himself in front of everyone, taking the full force of the attack. Our boy is left standing there, impaled by multiple blood spikes just to shield them. Kadu is just floored, asking why he'd sacrifice himself for the people who betrayed him. Despite being skewered and bound, Makoto just grits his teeth and says he has got it handled. Yuki is absolutely losing it, screaming that they have to do something to free him. This kid admits he's been practicing his powers but is still terrified to use them in a real fight. Jaga mocks Makoto's heroism, unleashing an even bigger attack with another ridiculously edgy name. Yuki watches in horror, completely frozen as the massive blood storm heads their way. But then he remembers Makoto's words of encouragement, that hard work always pays off. Filled with new resolve, Yuki vows that one day he will be strong enough to truly help. That day might be today as his fist starts glowing with a fiery, determined energy. Fueled by Makoto's belief in him, Yuki channels a torrent of fire into his fist. He roars that he will save his mentor and unleashes a massive, fiery attack. This sudden power-up catches both Makoto and Jaga completely by surprise. This blast erupts in the shape of a giant, terrifyingly cheerful smiley face. This ridiculously shaped explosion engulfs Jaga's entire blood-spike trap. His flames instantly vaporize the blood whips, freeing everyone in a single go. When the smoke clears, the ground is scorched, but the hostages are finally safe. Kadu is just staring, floored that the kid she wrote off had this kind of power. Makoto lands on his feet, looking a little impressed by his student's big debut. Jaga, looking a bit singed, sarcastically congratulates Yuki for almost wiping out his own team, but Yuki just retorts that the old him might have, but he has got control now. At that moment, a flash of purple energy slices through the remaining blood tendrils. It is Makoto, already back on his feet and wielding his shadow blade once more. He glances back at the crew, admitting that the explosive entrance was a big help. Our boy then gives Yuki a genuine smile, calling it perfect support. Yuki is absolutely over the moon, pumping his fist like he just won the lottery. Jaga is stunned, realizing the kid somehow controlled the blast to avoid hitting his allies. Now standing by his mentor's side, Yuki declares he is ready to fight for real. Makoto gives him a reassuring fist bump, officially welcoming him to the fight. This just annoys Jaga, who realizes a kid with precision nukes is a problem he needs to solve fast. Not content with a fair fight, Jaga starts powering up some seriously ominous energy. Makoto's danger sense is absolutely screaming, knowing a huge attack is on its way. This Magin pulls out his demon secret art, because every villain needs a secret menu. A massive blood-red sigil forms on his chest, completely dwarfing our two heroes. He then unleashes the Red Fang Bloodstorm Fang Tempest, a name that just rolls off the tongue. Our boy realizes he is in deep trouble, admitting he cannot possibly deflect all of these. But just as he is about to get shredded, Yuki grabs him from behind. This kid steps forward with a ton of confidence, telling his mentor to leave it to him. Using his fire powers, Yuki activates his own special move, basically giving himself rocket boots. He blasts across the battlefield in a blur of flame, intercepting the attack head-on. Jaga just grits his teeth, clearly annoyed that the sidekick is actually being useful. After the explosion clears, Yuki has vanished, leaving the demon totally confused. With his target gone, Jaga decides to just go back to his original plan, murdering the hostages. Suddenly, a bright light from above catches his attention. It is Yuki, who has apparently learned how to fly, carrying Makoto to safety. Jaga mocks their little air show, claiming they are a sitting duck for his next volley. From below, a massive storm of blood spikes rushes up to meet them in the sky. Refusing to betray Makoto's trust, Yuki prepares a massive fire attack in his hands. He unleashes his own ridiculously named move, the Supernova Maximum Burst. This massive fire blast collides with the blood storm in a spectacular explosion of power. This massive explosion clears, leaving our boys hovering in the air as Jaga stares up from below. This Magin is absolutely losing it, screaming about how his ultimate demon secret art got completely neutralized. With the enemy wide open, Makoto dives down like a missile, Shadow Scythe ready to end this fight for good. Jaga tries to rally for one last attack, completely misjudging how much juice he has left in the tank. He desperately attempts to summon more blood magic, but all he gets are a few pathetic wisps. And then the horrifying realization hits. Yuki's fire literally evaporated all his ammo, he is out of blood. Turns out Makoto noticed this effect during Yuki's first attack, seeing the heat vaporize the blood. He baited the big move on purpose, setting up a perfect tag team play to leave the demon powerless. Back in the present, Makoto's blade closes in on the now defenseless demon's face. Our boy brings the massive Shadow Scythe down in a brutal, fight-ending arc. This attack tears right through Jaga, sending a huge spray of blood into the air. Makoto stands over his fallen opponent, looking like the Grim Reaper came to collect. In a surprising twist, Jaga actually admits defeat, conceding that the human has won. But then he impales himself with his own spikes, offering up his life for his boss, Grom. Makoto just stares, completely blindsided by this sudden and very dramatic self-destruct sequence. Just as the blast is about to go off, Yuki rockets in, screaming that he will not let him. Suddenly, a mysterious winged figure appears out of nowhere, intercepting the explosion. This newcomer is completely engulfed in the fiery blast, absorbing the full force of Jaga's final attack. Yuki and Kadu can only watch in total shock as this unknown player just tanks the hit. This winged demon lands, and our heroes realize they are in deep trouble as their escape plan fails. Makoto swoops in to catch Yuki, who is still a bit wobbly after his big fiery debut. His student is just gushing with gratitude, but Makoto flips it, saying he is the one who should be thanking him. Our boy gives Yuki full credit for the win, admitting the tag team's strategy was the only way it worked. This praise hits the kid right in the feels, and the waterworks officially begin. And by waterworks, I mean a full-on emotional breakdown as he just sobs with relief. This winged demon then points out he made an innocent girl cry, sending Makoto into a spiral of gender confusion. Meanwhile, Kadu's crew is just staring from afar, completely floored that they actually defeated Imagine. They finally jog over, showering our boys with praise and calling them heroes for saving their sorry butts. But their little thank you party gets cut short by a very loud, very angry interruption. It is the pink-haired girl who is absolutely livid that they are not apologizing to Makoto first. She completely shuts down their hero worship, demanding they show some actual remorse for betraying him. In response, one of the guys grabs her and forces her to apologize, which is a fantastic look for him. She explains her prejudice came from losing her brother to a demon, so she assumed all contractors were evil. But after seeing Makoto risk his life for them, she admits she was completely and totally wrong. He was not a monster at all, but a true hunter who protects people no matter what. With that, the entire crew finally gets the memo and bows in a deep, formal apology. Makoto, being the bigger person, just smiles and says he gets why they were scared. He even takes some of the blame, telling them to raise their heads and that it is all good. This pink-haired girl is not having it though, insisting that a simple bow is not nearly enough. But Makoto cuts her off, saying their sincerity was clear and any more groveling is unnecessary. Makoto, ever the bigger person, just gives them a gentle, understanding smile. This sudden kindness completely short-circuits the pink-haired girl's brain. She starts to thank him, still a little flustered by the whole ordeal. Then she goes full fangirl, calling him Makoto Shichai and gushing about how cool he is. She even vows to repay the debt for saving them, which just leaves Makoto totally confused. Our boy tries to wave it off, insisting there is no debt to speak of. This next day, he is at Hunter HQ getting debriefed by the chairman himself. This old guy gives him props for leading the charge against the Magin, calling it a job well done. As a reward for his heroics, the chairman officially shakes his hand and cancels his punishment. Makoto is absolutely thrilled, hearing they will make a public announcement tomorrow to clear his name. But just then an aide bursts in with terrible news. His identity has been leaked to the media. Both of them are completely blindsided by this sudden and disastrous turn of events. This news is already running stories about the association covering up a demon contractor. Makoto's face just drops, realizing his secret is now public enemy number one. Outside the Hunter Association building, the situation is escalating fast. A massive mob of reporters is demanding answers, turning the place into a total zoo. From his office, the chairman grimaces, admitting this is his absolute worst-case scenario. He immediately orders his staff to arrange an emergency press conference to handle the fallout. Makoto apologizes, but the chairman takes full responsibility for the association's decision to back him. For his own safety, Makoto is told to lay low in a safe room until the storm passes. Makoto grits his teeth, clearly hating the order to hide while his life implodes. But he clenches his fist and agrees, knowing he is completely out of options. That same afternoon, the association prepares for a press conference in the main hall. This chairman steps up to the podium, about to face a total media-feeding frenzy. He cuts right to the chase, confirming that yes, a hunter has contracted a demon. A reporter immediately jumps on this, accusing the association of colluding with the enemy. This chairman flatly denies it, explaining the demon was a former divine spirit with no evil ties. Meanwhile, Makoto watches the whole train wreck unfold on a monitor from his safe room. And as expected, the public is already having a complete and utter meltdown online. His demon partner notes that humanity's hatred is even more intense than she'd imagined. Makoto tries to defend her, insisting she is not bad, but that is a tough sell right now. Back at the presser, a reporter asks the big question, can they even guarantee public safety anymore? Suddenly, a new voice cuts in, volunteering to answer that very question. In walks a flashy, long-haired blonde hunter, waving to the cameras like a rock star. He introduces himself as Amagi, an S-rank hunter, which sends the press into a tizzy. This guy just casually takes over the podium, radiating main character energy. He then reassures everyone that if Makoto becomes a threat, he will personally eliminate him. This crowd eats this up, with some reporters demanding they just execute Makoto on the spot. Others start shouting for proof, demanding to know why Makoto is not there to defend himself. Amagi just gives a cold look, saying if they brought Makoto out, the mob would tear him to pieces. Amagi just casually admits that yeah, the leak made this whole thing a bit troublesome. And of course, the entire disaster is being live-streamed for the world to see. Our boy watches from his safe room, seeing the online mob screaming for his head. Then he notices a notification pop up on the stream, something new is happening. His eyes widen as he puts two and two together. It is an emergency live stream from Sarah Channel, promising an exposé on him. A reporter at the press conference suddenly shouts for everyone to watch the stream from influencer Sarah Kato. Both the chairman and Amagi get the news, and they do not look pleased at all. Back in the safe room, Makoto and his partner can only watch as things spiral even further. This stream kicks off with a super bubbly tropical-themed intro, because this is a serious news story. And there she is, the pink-haired girl from before, now an influencer named Sarah, promising secret footage. She teases her audience, saying they are about to see the true nature of the evil demon contractor. This video starts, and it is footage of Makoto from the earlier fight. This press is absolutely salivating, getting ready to document all the evil acts he is about to commit. On screen, they see him clashing with the Magin Jaga, a brutal fight in progress. In the footage, Jaga lands a vicious blow, sending our boy flying. Then it cuts to a close-up of the demon's terrifying, fanged grin, followed by a shot of Makoto getting run through by blood spikes, looking like he is done for. This reporters watching are just stunned into silence, not quite processing what they are seeing. And the last thing they see is a shot of his ominous shadow weapon, ready for a counterattack. This stream then shows Makoto getting absolutely pummeled by the Majin's attacks, before it cuts to a still of our boy and his partner, ending the evil montage. Back at the press conference, every single reporter is glued to their phones, watching this play out. Amagi gives the chairman a smug little look, clearly enjoying this absolute train wreck of a PR strategy. On her stream, Sarah apologizes for the clickbait title, explaining she just wanted everyone to see the truth. Her video then asks the big question, after seeing him risk his life, can you still call him dangerous? She looks dead serious, ready to drop some facts on an internet mob that is about to get schooled. Her narration calls Makoto more noble than anyone, a true hunter who protects people. Sarah gets super passionate, telling her viewers to attack her all they want, but they have to believe in him. And then she gets on her knees and bows, literally begging everyone to trust what they just saw. In the press hall, the reporters start murmuring, admitting he did not seem like a bad guy at all. Sarah, meanwhile, is back to full fangirl mode, gushing that no hunter has ever been this cool. Her chat completely flips, flooding with messages of support, which brings tears to her eyes. She then speaks to the camera, hoping Makoto Shichai is watching and that this helps repay her debt. Our boy is just completely stunned, totally moved by her going to bat for him like this. He lowers his head, whispering a quiet thank you for her incredible act of support. With her work done, Sarah signs off with a cheerful wave, mission officially accomplished. Back at the press conference, the entire atmosphere has shifted thanks to one influencer's mic drop. Amagi just smirks, telling the chairman they probably do not need a Q&A session anymore. So the chairman steps up one last time, declaring that Makoto is a hunter the world desperately needs. With her mic drop complete, Sarah's game-changing stream finally comes to an end. Makoto is just completely overwhelmed by the support, leaving his partner to check on him. But our boy clenches his fist, declaring through tears that their mission to save the world is still on. And his partner is right there with him, confirming that has been her plan all along. Then we get a time skip. Several years later, a huge gate has appeared and hunters are massing. This press goes wild as a reporter shouts that the main players are finally arriving. It is a full-on media circus for the arrival of humanity's strongest and most celebrated hunters. This camera focuses on a familiar purple-clad figure, and the reporter just loses it. And there he is, a more mature, battle-scarred Makoto, now a celebrated public hero. He stands with his partner Amagi and even Sarah, all united as one badass team. Our boy takes a moment, thinking about how he only got here because of the people who stood by him. He gives a special thanks to his partner Renoa for sticking with him through it all. She just beams, saying that fighting by his side is literally her reason for existing. Talk about ride or die. Full of confidence, Makoto declares they will crush the demons and restore the light for all. And so, hand in hand, he and Renoa lead the charge into battle with their allies right behind them.